Welcome to HOJO Radio.
Hello, everybody, hello. Hello is the shampoo that glorifies your hair. So hello, everybody, hello. For softer, lively curls and brighter, sparkling hair. So hello, everybody, hello. Halo shampoo, halo.
The Cavalcade of America, presented by DuPont. Among the practical men of vision in our country's history is one who left a career of science for his duty to his country and became great in both. This man was David Rittenhouse, astronomer, mathematician, and patriot. This evening, the DuPont Cavalcade presents some highlights in his colorful life. David Rittenhouse was always striving to bring more comforts and conveniences into the lives of his contemporaries. This also is the aim of the research chemist who helps to provide a fuller and more complete existence for all. This thought is aptly expressed in the DuPont pledge: better things for better living through chemistry. As an overture, Don Voorhees and the DuPont Cavalcade Orchestra bring us Cole Porter's melody, Night and Day, from the musical comedy, The Gay Divorce. The DuPont Cavalcade moves forward. David Rittenhouse came into the world April 8, 1732. His great-grandfather, a Dutchman, had established the first paper manufactory in America. It can still be seen today in Fairmount Park, Philadelphia, where Paper Mill Run flows into the Wissahickon Creek. In a house adjoining this mill, David Rittenhouse was born. That same year, his father moved to a farm at Norriton, Pennsylvania. When David was 14, he was faced with his first great decision. His father storms into the kitchen where Mrs. Rittenhouse is busy cooking supper.
There's Dave.
He's out fetching some wood for the fire.
It is good he has something useful doing.
No, he's always doing something useful. He's a hard worker, and you know it, Matt. What have you got your Dutch up about now?
You can save your opinions about the Dutch. They're the only race that could make a living with so many of your Welsh around here.
Well, the Welsh know a good bargain when they see it. That's why I married you.
No, there's no use trying to get around me with that.
Now, what's wrong with Davy?
You will hear when I see him.
Well, here he comes now. But now, whatever it is, Matt, I'm on his side.
Here's your wood, Ma.
Oh, thank you, dear.
Hello, Father. Feels like rain.
No, that isn't rain, dear. It's just your father looking like a thundercloud. Shut the door, Davy.
Yes, Ma. I hope it doesn't rain till tomorrow.
David,
Yes, Father?
what do you mean wasting your time when there's so much work to be done?
I don't remember wasting any time, Father.
How do you know he was wasting his time,
There
Matt?
is plenty of evidence on every building around here. They are covered with numbers and drawings. Even the woodshed's full of them.
That's why I hope it won't rain tonight. I have a calculation on the spring house that's only half finished. It's only written in charcoal, you know.
What's only written in charcoal?
Figures. Nonsense. Could not make head or tails of it.
Well, neither can I with some of them, but I will. Where did you put Uncle's book on Newton, Ma? That Principia?
What's there on the shelf, dear?
Elizabeth, I knew those things your brother left David would take his mind off his work.
Now he brings in all the wood we need. You let Davy do all the figuring he has a mind to.
Well, I don't take no stock in it.
Well, what of it so long as Davy does? You're mighty proud of it, too, Matthias. I notice you've still got that watermill model he made when he was only 8 years old.
No.
Now I've got Uncle's tool chest, I can make almost anything. I wish I had more time to give to making things.
What would you like to make, Davy?
Well, I think I'd like to make clocks.
Clocks? Why clocks?
Because people need them and can't get them. I could make a shop in one end of the woodshed.
But, David, I need you on the farm.
But he'll be good at that kind of work, Matt. Let him do it.
I'll be on the farm when you need me most. But I can make clocks in winter, and they'll bring in money when we have a bad year.
Well, there, Matthias. Is that practical enough to suit you?
Well, all right, Davy. Give it a try. But don't you forget your chores.
Yes, Father.
As the years passed by, the name of David Rittenhouse on fine clocks drew the attention of many celebrated men. When his brother-in-law, the Reverend Thomas Barton, became a professor in the College of Philadelphia, now the University of Pennsylvania, he introduced David to Dr. Smith, provost of the college. David Rittenhouse is now 31 years old. One day he is working in his shop.
Come in. Oh, why, Dr. Smith. Come right on in. I'm glad to see you.
Thanks, David. I've brought a friend with me, Mr. John Lukens, Surveyor General of the province.
How do you do, sir?
Delighted to make your acquaintance, Mr. Rittenhouse. I hope the new clock is ready. I'm eager to see it.
Well, you're just in time, then. I was testing the chimes.
Yes, we heard them, but what is this on the dial? It looks like the sun and the moon.
Well, that's what they are. And all the planets. I figured out a planetary machine that works with the timepieces.
I've read of something like this being owned by the Earl of Orrery in England, named after him.
Yes, the Orrery. I hope to make a better one than his someday.
What? Oh, yes, of course. But this clock is most ingenious, isn't it, Lukens?
Yes, but will it keep good time?
I'll guarantee it's accurate.
Indeed, and how do you know that?
I've checked it against the movements of the heavenly bodies themselves.
Why, David, that would take astronomy.
Whoever heard of a clockmaker being an astronomer?
You did, sir, the moment you heard of me. You see, a clock must measure the same time measured by the sun and moon. So I taught myself astronomy. That's how I got the data for the planetary machine here.
You certainly go to a lot of trouble to make a clock.
Not to make a good clock. I find a great deal of pleasure in astronomy.
Astronomy would make surveying easy for you.
Yes, and accurate. You see, only by using astronomy can we find the exact latitude and longitude of any place on Earth.
That's very true.
The trouble is now we have only places on maps. Nobody knows where they are on the actual ground.
Well, that's a good way to explain it. No wonder the colonies are in endless boundary disputes.
Exactly, sir. Every man knows he has a farm, but no man knows where on earth it is.
Yes, that's the trouble with the suit Pennsylvania and Maryland have been fighting for 20 years in the British Court of Chancery. Even now that it's settled, they still don't know where their boundaries are on the ground.
We soon will. Mr. John Penn has ordered us to anticipate the findings of the court's commissioners by making our own survey.
Oh, indeed. And when will you start?
As soon as Mr. Rittenhouse is ready.
Sir?
I rode out with Dr. Smith today to see if you would undertake to survey the boundary lines between Pennsylvania and Maryland.
What will become of my work here?
Well, it will still be here, David, when you come back.
Oh, there's still another reason. No, gentlemen, I'm afraid I can't do it.
Of course, the northern boundary of Delaware presents an awkward problem. Surveying the circumference of a circle with a radius 12 miles from Newcastle is something new to our geometry.
It isn't that, sir.
Well, whatever it is, I'm sure David has a good reason.
Well, the truth is, gentlemen, it's a young lady, the daughter of a neighboring farmer, Miss Eleanor Colston. We were planning to be married, and I can't take a wife on a surveying trip.
Well, I'm sure she'll wait for you, David.
And you will have fame and honor to offer her then.
You surely can't refuse this service to the province.
Well, gentlemen, if you put it that way. All right, Mr. Lukens, I'll go.
Good. The proprietor will thank you, sir.
The result of the surveying expedition won the clockmaker a bonus. The line David Rittenhouse surveyed as the boundary between Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Maryland was later checked and found astronomically correct by two commissioners sent out from England. Their names were Mason and Dixon. Moreover, Rittenhouse was the first to measure actually 1 degree of the meridian on this earth. The work took several months, and the instruments Rittenhouse used he made himself. The next year, he married Miss Eleanor Colston, and they lived on the farm at Norriton, which his father had turned over to him. One evening in 1767, David is working in his shop when his wife enters.
David Rittenhouse, what on earth are you doing? I called you to supper an hour ago.
Oh, I'm sorry, Eleanor. I'm putting the finishing touches on my orrery.
Orrery?
You remember the invention of the Earl of Orrery? Not that this is an orrery, really. Much more like the real thing.
What real thing?
The solar system.
That machine?
Yes, dear. See, it reproduces the movements of all our planets and their satellites exactly in the proper relations.
At what time?
Well, any time you want. It'll show their exact position as it was or will be any time within 5,000 years.
Oh, let me feel your forehead. You must be feverish.
Well, I am a little excited, Eleanor. The Earl of Orrery just had a toy that showed a few globes going around in circles. But my machine places all the planets in their proper ellipses and conforms to Kepler's completed theory originated by Copernicus.
What on earth are you talking about?
About my orrery. Now, I want to show you how it works. Now, you see the motions of this main face here are registered on dials that give the exact relationships to the year, month, and day.
Well, what are these other two faces for?
Well, this one shows the moon and its monthly eclipses. And this other shows the movements of Jupiter and his moons, and Saturn with his ring and satellites.
I can't believe it.
Well, you can see it. Look. There. See them revolving? There the moon goes from the quarter to the full.
Yes. It works all right. But, no, I can't believe a human being could make it. Not even you.
Well, you can be sure it didn't just pop together by itself, Eleanor. Well, there you are.
Well, what are you going to do with it?
The College of New Jersey at Princeton wants to buy it.
Well, I should think you'd rather let our own college have it, David.
Well, I'll make another one for them. Just now, we need all the money we can get.
What for?
I want to move into town where I can be close to things.
David, we've always lived on a farm. I'd be afraid to live in town.
Well, I could use the money to build an observatory out here.
An observatory? What on earth do you want to observe?
Nothing on Earth. I want to observe the heavens. There'll be a transit of Venus across the sun in 1769. I want to see it.
Well, all right, David. If you want to, I think you should. You seem to know so much about stars and such things, but you don't know how to take care of yourself. Now come to supper.
All right, my dear. I'll do whatever you say.
Oh, but David, I really am proud of you. And don't let anything turn you aside. Not even me. You follow your star.
When Rittenhouse finished his orrery, which was the mechanical forerunner of our modern marvel, the planetarium, he took it to the great scientific organization called the American Philosophical Society, whose president was Benjamin Franklin. Franklin is absent in London on business for the colonies, so another member of the society, Thomas Jefferson, looks at the machine.
Mr. Rittenhouse, as an artist, you have established as great a proof of mechanical genius as the world has ever produced.
Mr. Jefferson, your praise embarrasses
But
me.
it's deserved. Your friend Provost Smith tells me you have plans for observing the transit of Venus.
Yes. The conditions for this rare phenomenon will be perfect here.
What special advantage, except the honor, will there be in seeing it?
Well, by taking sights on Venus as it passes across the body of the sun, we can figure more exactly the solar parallax and find out how far the Earth is from the sun.
What places have been selected for official observation?
The astronomers in Europe have sent expeditions to Lapland, Hudson's Bay, California Territory, and Pekin.
And none to these colonies?
No, though conditions are best here in our province. I'm building an observatory of my own at Norriton.
We must build another, near the Philosophical Society in State House Square.
Where will you get the equipment for it? Telescopes, micrometers, timekeepers, many things. I've had to make my own.
We must and shall do our best to give America her proper place in the world of science.
The Pennsylvania state legislature voted money. Benjamin Franklin sent a telescope from London. On the day of the transit of Venus across the sun, conditions were perfect. Rittenhouse at Norriton was assisted by Provost Smith and John Lukens. At the State House Square, other scientists watched. At a third point, Cape Henlopen in Delaware, Orrin Biddle observed through another telescope. At first, the findings of Rittenhouse were ignored in Europe because they were at variance with the preconceived ideas there. But later, when all reports were in, he was found to have computed the exact average of all readings, placing the sun 96 millions of miles distant from the Earth. That same year, he again distinguished himself, this time in the field of physics. One evening, he burst into the house with a new apparatus.
Eleanor! Eleanor! Where are you?
Land sakes, David, what's the fire?
Nothing but the sun, Eleanor, and I can measure every degree of it here with this. Look.
Nonsense. You can't measure temperature without mercury. Even I know that. And there's no mercury in that thing.
Well, Eleanor, you know that metal expands with heat and contracts with cold.
Yes, I know that.
Well, this is a metallic thermometer.
Well, your eyesight's better than mine if you can see metal expanding.
No, I've devised an instrument to do that for me. Now, the change in the metal moves a hand on this dial here. It's marked in degrees Fahrenheit. Look. See? Shows a rising temperature as I bring it closer to the fire.
But how do I know that's the right temperature?
Here's a mercury thermometer. See, they have the same reading.
Well, I'm past being surprised by you anymore, Davy. But what put it into your head?
I had to find some way to make clock pendulums that wouldn't change their length with changes of temperature. This is the same principle.
You have so many inventions, Davy. I think we ought to move into town now if you still want to.
I do, but we can't afford it. It costs more money to live in town. And until the heavens provide enough money, we'll have to continue to live off the ground.
Now, who can that be?
Come in. Well, Dr. Smith, this is a pleasant surprise.
Good day, David. Good day, Mrs. Rittenhouse.
Good day, Doctor.
David, you must prepare to move to town at once. Your personal opportunity and your duty to your fellow men are both there.
I think I should stay here at Norriton.
Well, the choice is no longer yours. The State Assembly has chosen for you.
I don't understand you, sir.
They have made you one of the 3 commissioners of the loan office.
What?
And that's not all. They've given you an outright grant of £300 and appropriated another £400 for a third orrery double the size of the others.
David.
But, Dr. Smith, why have they done all this?
Well, I'd best to tell you in their own exact words. They say, as a testimony of the high sense which this house entertains of his mathematical genius and mechanical ability.
I'm honored more than I deserve.
Well, we feel that we're honored to have you one of us.
And you can enjoy the company of your scientific friends in town.
You'll be a welcome neighbor for members of the Philosophical Society. It's a great opportunity, David. A great career is opening up before you. Already your reputation is worldwide.
And all I wanted to do was to make a good clock.
The DuPont cavalcade moves forward. Rittenhouse's enjoyment of work and research in the city was doomed to be short-lived. In 1775, he was made a member of the Committee of Public Safety. When Benjamin Franklin was called to the new General Congress, Rittenhouse was elected to take the place he vacated in the State Assembly. He was a member of the State Constitutional Convention, and under the new state constitution, he was elected state treasurer. His public career now took all his time and energy. On Franklin's death, Rittenhouse succeeded him as president of the Philosophical Society, and he hoped at last to continue his long-interrupted career in science. But the rise of the new government of the United States made further demands on him in the public service. On July 1st, 1792, he sits in the office of President Washington.
Mr. Rittenhouse, your work as trustee of the Pennsylvania Loan Office was very distinguished.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. But I have retired from all state affairs. I think at last I have earned some time for my scientific work.
Earned it? Yes. Beyond doubt and many times over. But by that very experience, your country has great need of you.
I can think of no office that can't be filled better by someone else.
But I can. You alone are best qualified for the new executive office I must appoint today. For 13 years, you were treasurer of our rich estate. As trustee of its loan office, you made it the most profitable and yet of greatest benefit to the individual of any in America.
It seemed imperative since the loans were the basis of our currency.
Exactly. And our currency is now in great confusion.
In point of fact, sir, we have no national currency.
We shall have.
And to have a currency, we must first have a place to coin it.
We'll have our own national mint as soon as it can be built and equipped. I need your help.
If I might, I could suggest a man for chief coiner. His name is Henry Voigt.
His name is familiar.
He's a watchmaker.
A watchmaker for such a position?
I am a clockmaker, sir.
Of course. I forgot.
But Voigt has made bigger things than watches. He made the engine for John Fitch's steamboat.
Oh, yes. That's where I heard of him. Well, who else can you suggest for the staff?
Why should I select the staff, sir?
Because, Mr. Rittenhouse, I have selected you for the first director of the United States Mint.
I appreciate the honor, Mr. President. But I have set my heart on retiring to my observatory and spending my few remaining years
Mr. Rittenhouse, I understand. But the business of our country, our credit, our prosperity, demand a sound and adequate currency. No one is so well suited for this task as you. I beg this further sacrifice of you. You will accept.
When you put it that way, Mr. President, I must accept.
Good. And please accept my thanks and the nation's gratitude.
Years more and the work of David Rittenhouse, self-taught scientist, was done. But his inventions lived after him and inspired the minds of many who followed. Today, several of his remarkable precision instruments, including the famous orrery, are on view at the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia. After his death in 1796, an unusual tribute was paid to his memory. A memorial service was held in Philadelphia, and a eulogy was delivered in the presence of the mayor, the city council, the state assembly, and the president and Congress of the United States. DuPont salutes David Rittenhouse, pioneer scientist and patriot, as one of the worthy leaders in the cavalcade of America.
If David Rittenhouse, one of America's pioneer scientists, were alive today, he would be keenly interested in one of the latest achievements of modern science. It is this. DuPont research chemists now make sponges from spruce trees. Yes, sponges made of cellulose from spruce tree wood. Sponges that have never seen the ocean, yet would even fool the fish. These new DuPont cellulose sponges have all the qualities you expect in a sponge, plus several brand new advantages all their own. They float, won't sink and pick up grit from the bottom of the pail. They contain no sand or seashell particles, so they won't scratch. They can be cleaned and sterilized by boiling, yet they won't crumble. And they absorb 20 times their own weight of water. All of these qualities because the new cellulose sponge comes from the chemical laboratory instead of the floor of the ocean. These sponges are ideal for the bath and equally good for dishwashing. You can polish metal, silverware, and furniture with them because they're not affected by most household chemicals, by dilute lyes and acids or abrasives. That's one reason they're excellent for waxing woodwork and linoleum, for cleaning leather goods and white shoes, for washing automobiles or the baby, for wiping off photographic and X-ray film. These and many other uses make the DuPont cellulose sponge a versatile helper in home and industry. In its chemical manufacturing business, the DuPont Company's cellulose research, which utilizes both wood and cotton, has produced many useful products. Man-made fibers for luxurious fabrics, coated textiles for book bindings, upholstery, and many other uses, plastics for toiletware, fountain pen barrels, and handbags, transparent wrapping material for everything from candy bars to new houses, and dozens of others. The development of the new DuPont sponge is one more example of how research chemistry has used one of nature's raw materials, wood cellulose, to create something new and useful which did not exist before. Here we see again how DuPont chemists provide better things for better living through chemistry. The Pine Tree Shilling, the story of the coining of the first money in the American colonies, will be the subject of our broadcast when next week at the same time, DuPont again presents The Cavalcade of America. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This is Sandy Becker saying, keep cooking with Crisco. It's all vegetable. It's digestible.
HOJO Radio, we're your old-time radio headquarters. Stay tuned.
Remember, a Hallmark card will best express your perfect taste, your thoughtfulness. makers of Hallmark greeting cards bring you a story that is both true and exciting, and a star who is both talented and lovely, Geraldine Fitzgerald. For more than a third of a century, quality has been a habit with the makers of Hallmark cards. They are the kind of cards you can be proud to send, proud to receive. That's why, through the years, Hallmark cards have been America's favorite greeting cards. So if you want to send the very finest, look on the back for the three identifying words, a Hallmark card. These three words are your assurance of finest quality. They tell your friends you cared enough to send the very best. Now to preside over the Hallmark program this evening, here's a young man well known to Broadway both as actor and producer, Richard Calmer.
Thank you, Tom Shirley, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ever since Geraldine Fitzgerald first graced American shores and American movie screens, she's been one of my favorite performers. And ever since I came to work on the Hallmark program, I've been hoping to find a vehicle for her splendid talent. Strangely enough, as the search for material in the Reader's Digest went on, I became convinced that Miss Fitzgerald should portray an American role. For few actresses who visit us from foreign countries have ever caught the American manner, the American idiom, and most important, the American spirit so readily as Miss Fitzgerald. When Robert Sloane brought in his adaptation of Which Was the Rescuer, I knew the search was over. I read the script with the agreeable vision of Miss Fitzgerald in my mind's eye. This was the drama I'd been looking for. And so tonight, the Hallmark program proudly presents Which Was the Rescuer, starring Geraldine Fitzgerald. In the early days of the war, when people all over the world were hurrying home from foreign lands, passage aboard any steamship bound for the Western Hemisphere was a rare and cherished privilege, especially for an American. Yet, for Mrs. Ann Martin, a young widow whose husband had only recently passed on, the hot, painfully slow voyage from Bombay to Rio de Janeiro had none of the excitement it held for the other passengers. To them, each day at sea was a day nearer home. To her, it was just another day of mourning for the man she loved, the man she left behind.
Mrs. Martin! Mrs. Martin?
Yes? Who is it?
Dr. Pryor.
Oh, come in, Dr. Pryor.
Thank you. Feeling any better this afternoon?
I'm all right, Doctor.
Well, if you don't mind my saying so, Mrs. Martin, I don't see how you can be. Staying inside your cabin all the time, reading old letters, missing meals. You've got to get hold of yourself, girl, if you want to get well.
Can I get well, Doctor? Is there any cure for loneliness?
Not if you lock yourself up in a room and think about it all day.
But it's so much worse when I go out. When I'm alone out there on deck, I just keep staring at the ocean, wondering, waiting, almost hoping for it to swallow me up.
And it will if you're not careful, young lady. Don't you realize there are people aboard this ship? People you should know and take an interest in?
I wish I could, but it's so hard for me to talk to anybody these days. They all try to be so kind and cheerful. And everything they say reminds me of something about him.
Only because you haven't tried to forget about
it. That's not so, Doctor. I have tried desperately. But how can I forget when there's so much to remember? His smile, his hands, the way he shaved in the morning. Even the silliest little things take me back to him.
My dear girl, you can't go on mourning your husband forever.
Even though he was my whole life?
No matter what he was. That part of your life is all over now.
Can't be, Doctor. Don't you understand? Without him, there isn't any me.
Then what are you going to do with yourself? Lie down and die?
I don't know. It almost seems as if I've died already.
Here. I won't have you talking like that. Young lady, I'm going to take charge of you for the rest of this voyage. The first thing I want you to do is to meet everybody aboard ship.
Oh, no.
Now, come with me.
No, please.
Well, you're not going to bury yourself in this cabin, I tell you.
Oh, for heaven's sake, Doctor, will you leave me alone? I don't want to go out.
Well, I'm afraid you'll have to, Mrs. Martin. We all have to when that bell starts ringing. Come along, young lady. This is a lifeboat drill. let's have a straight line along here, if you will. No crowding about. Just keep the deck clear.
Tommy? Where are you, Tommy? Right here, Mrs. Gilby.
He's with me, dear.
Well, you're in the wrong place. You belong on the other side of the ship.
Here, keep an hand on that boy, will you, Governor? I'm in the wrong place, then let's find the right one. We haven't got all day.
Oh, excuse me, I was looking for my...
Now, what are you doing, Mum? Is this your boat station?
I believe so. My cabin's just a few steps from here, and Dr. Pryor said I was on boat number 3.
Well, this is it, Mum. Just take a place in this here line and see if we can't keep the blooming deck clear. That's it, Mum, right next to the lady with the small foot.
Yeah, we can make room for you. Oh, thank you. Well, quite a bit of excitement, isn't there? Yes. There always is at a drill, but it's nothing compared to an actual hit. With a torpedo, I mean. I've been down twice now, and I'm just praying this won't be the third time. Careful now, Tommy. I'm going to America. Yes, of course you are, dear. We've got all these children to look after, you know, Mr. Gilby and I. We came aboard at Cape Town, and we've been on the go ever since. You're Mrs. Martin, aren't you? Yes. I thought you were. You poor dear. I've heard about what you've been through, and my heart goes right out to you. Now, if there's anything Mr. Gilby or I can do... No, I'm quite all right, thank you. Is she the lady who hasn't got a husband, Mrs. Gilby? The little devil. She hears everything. Is she? Don't say she, dear. It's not nice. This is Mrs. Martin. Hello. How do you do? Really, Mrs. Martin, you should be out on deck more. It's so bad for you to stay cooped up in your cabin all day. Of course, I know exactly how you feel. If I ever lost Mr. Gilby, I just couldn't get over it. Please. But that's because we mean so much to each other. Now, you're just a young woman. Why don't you go on?
Here, where are you going, Mum? The drill isn't over
I'm
yet.
sorry, steward. I have to be excused. Well, what did you say, Tommy? Whatever did we say to her?
Sure you won't have another walk around the deck with me, Mrs. Martin?
No, thanks, Doctor. I'm so tired, I think I'll go in now.
Very well. I'll look in on you again this evening. In the meantime, have a good rest.
Thank you, Doctor. Hello. Well, hello. What are you doing here, son? Did you get into my cabin by mistake? No, ma'am. I came to see you on purpose. Don't you remember me? Oh, yes, I believe I do. You're the boy I saw at the lifeboat drill this afternoon with Mrs. Gilby. That's right, ma'am. My name's Tommy. And I know something I'll bet you don't know. I'm sure you do, Tommy. We're the only 2 Americans on this ship, Mrs. Martin. Did you know that? No. Well, we are. We ought to stick together, don't you think? Yes, I suppose we should. That's what I thought. It gets kind of lonely on a ship like this with a lot of people that don't know anything about America or anything. Well, that's why I came to see you. I thought you might want to talk to an American. Well, I do, but don't you think you should be getting back to Mrs. Gilby? I've got a flag and everything, Mrs. Martin. You want to see it? Oh, no. No, not just now. Thanks, though. I'm sort of tired, Tommy. What's the matter? Don't you like me? Well, of course I like you. Then why are you trying to get rid of me? Well, I'm not really, Tommy. I just thought Mrs. Gilby might be worried about you. No, she knows I'm here. I can stay as long as I want. Oh. You know any good games? Well, no, not any boys' games. Well, why not? Didn't you play any games with your husband? Tommy, I'd rather you wouldn't talk about my husband. I know you don't mean to hurt me just now, but somehow it does hurt when anybody talks about him. Gee, I didn't know that. You're not really old enough to understand, Tommy, but when you're in love with someone, it's just as if that someone were your mother or your daddy. And you'd be hurt if anything happened to either of them, wouldn't you? Something has happened to them. What do you mean? Did Mrs. Gilby tell you? They were both killed in an air raid on Rangoon. That's why I'm coming home alone. I'm an orphan. Oh, Tommy, I'm so terribly sorry. That's all right. I'm used to being an orphan. Oh, poor kid. I wish there was something I could do. I mean, come here, Tommy. Sit on the bunk next to me. Yes, ma'am. You're proud of being an American, aren't you, Tommy? I'll say. My father was an American, and so's the whole family. Well, how would you like it if I were to tell you some stories about America? Now? Now, or whenever you'd like me to. Well, if it's all right with you, Mrs. Martin, could you come down to our cabin and tell me some stories just before Mrs. Gilby puts me to bed? The only stories she knows are about Australia. Very well, Tommy. I'll come down tonight. But will you know when it's 7 o'clock? I mean, how will you remember to come down and see me?
Oh, I'll remember all right. I'll set my alarm clock right now. And when the bell starts ringing, I'll know it's time to come down and tell you a story.
Gee, is that a promise?
You bet it is, Tommy. Don't forget, we're both Americans, and we're both in the same boat.
And they brought the whole island of Manhattan for $24?
That's right, Tommy.
Gosh, what are you going to tell me tomorrow night?
And Washington left the fires burning in his camp, so the Hessians would think his men weren't going to attack. But he fooled them. That night, an entire regiment of soldiers.
Good heavens, Mrs. Martin, what's that?
Just my alarm clock, Doctor. I'm sorry, but I'll have to interrupt our little visit. Tommy's waiting for a story.
Now there, Mrs. Martin. Isn't that a gorgeous sunset? The prettiest one I've seen on the entire voyage.
The first one I've seen, Doctor. From the deck, I mean. The others had to filter through my cabin window.
Well, they won't anymore, young lady. You're looking much better now. I want you to stay that way.
Thank you, Doctor. You've been so kind. You know, I'm beginning to take an interest in people again. Some people. And for the first time since I boarded this ship, I've begun to look forward instead of aft.
Good girl.
Do you think I'm a fool to look forward?
Don't be absurd. When the Lord gave us eyes, he took care to put them in the front of our heads. And then he gave us necks that wouldn't turn completely around. Don't go against nature, girl. Look forward. And keep looking forward. The whole world is before you.
What's happened?
Quick, Miss Marty, get the light bell. Go to your boat station. We've been torpedoed. We've been hit amidship.
Geraldine Fitzgerald will be back in just a moment with the second act of tonight's Hallmark drama from the pages of the Reader's Digest, America's favorite magazine. And now, here's Dick Calmer.
Right now, I have a special announcement for men. This year, you can send Christmas cards that speak your language. Cards as masculine as a briar pipe, friendly as a log fire, as colorful as all outdoors. For the makers of Hallmark cards created 12 exclusive new Christmas cards featuring beautiful reproductions of Lynn Bogue Hunt's famous paintings, Game Birds of America. Paintings highly praised by leading sportsmen, and you should see those Hallmark cards. In fact, if you have the December issue of Esquire, you can see a colorful illustration of these cards tonight. You'll see beautiful shallow water ducks in all their natural setting and full rich color, and the other cards portray ring-necked pheasant, quail, and many other favorite game birds. They're cards to set you dreaming, designed to send to any man, and for every man to send. Tomorrow, go to your friendly Hallmark dealer and ask to see the Hallmark Game Bird cards, the new Christmas cards for men.
I'd like to make a suggestion to the ladies listening, Dick. Why not surprise your husband when he comes home tomorrow night with a set of Hallmark Game Bird cards for him to send his special buddies? Go to your friendly Hallmark dealer tomorrow and pick up a set. And while you're there, you can select all your Christmas cards from his complete selection. You'll find Hallmark cards that suit your taste, your personality. And you can be sure when you send Hallmark cards that you are sending the finest. Because for more than a third of a century, quality has been a habit with the makers of Hallmark cards. So at Christmas, as always, look on the back of the cards you send for those three identifying words, a Hallmark card. Those words tell your friends you cared enough to choose the very best.
Somewhere in the warm waters of the South Atlantic, the crushing impact of an exploding torpedo has blown a hole through the hull of a vessel bound for Rio. with water pouring into the engine room and the entire ship threatening to break in two, passengers and crew alike swarm over the boat deck in answer to the command to abandon ship. Among them is Mrs. Martin.
Up here, Mum. Don't stand around in the way. Get into the boat.
I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can.
Well, don't talk about it. Hurry along. We'll be loading away in half a mile. Here, Mum. Take my hand.
Oh, thank you.
Here we are.
I never would have made it without you.
Here, sit right here. Hold on to your bag now. There'll be more coming in on that side. Hey, how much room we got? Place for about 3 more. Or if you need them. Don't stock us up too full or we'll never get in the water. I know. Here, young lady. I thought I told you to sit down. Never mind what you wanted. Get your place in the boat. All right, Elf. I guess we can start loading away now. Hang on to the line.
Wait, just a moment, please.
What's wrong now?
That bell, can't you hear it? That's the alarm clock in my cabin.
What if it is? Blimey, Mum, this ain't no bloody time to be thinking about clocks. Load away,
No, don't. He isn't here yet. Don't you understand? This is the boat he belongs on, and he isn't here.
Oh.
The little boy, Tommy. Oh, something must have happened to him. Mrs. Gilby isn't here either.
Well, it's too late to worry about that.
No, please, they're still inside the ship. I've got to find them.
Stay where you are.
No, let me go. I've got to go back there. I've got to find them.
You'll be killed, you little fool. This ship won't be afloat another 10 minutes. She's breaking up in the middle.
I don't care. Take your hands off.
All right, Elf. Let her go if she wants to. But I'm warning you, Mum. I can't risk 20 lives on account of yours. If you go now, we won't be here when you get back.
Good luck to you wherever you are. I'm going back just the same. Tommy, if you're in there, tell me. Answer me, Tommy. Why have you locked the door?
Is that you, Mrs. Martin?
Oh, yes, Tommy, yes. Can you come to the door and open it for me? I can't get inside if you don't.
Just a minute, Mrs. Martin.
Oh, hurry, son, hurry. Every second counts. Oh, Tommy. Thank God you're still alive. Where's Mrs. Gilby?
Over there on the floor. She's so still, Mrs. Martin. That's why I locked the door. I was afraid.
Oh. Don't look, Tommy. Bless her soul. There's no way to help her anymore. There may not even be time to help ourselves. Come along, Tommy, and don't look back. Not even once.
Yes, ma'am. Where are we going?
Out on deck if we can make it. The ship's lifting more and more every second.
Is that why it's so hard to walk?
Yes, Tommy. But I think we'll manage. Here, let me have your hand. There. That's the way.
Gee, there's nobody on deck. Where's everybody gone?
Well, I guess they're all down at the other end. I mean, quick, Tommy. Maybe the number 4 boat. Maybe it's still there. No. It's no use.
What's the matter?
Number 4 is gone, too.
What are we going to do? Who's going to take us off the ship?
I don't know, Tommy. This time, I just don't know. Wait. What's that?
Sounds like there's somebody out there on the water.
Tommy, quick, get over to the rail. Maybe we can see what it is.
Gee, I can't see a thing, Mrs. Martin. Can you?
No, but There, Tommy, down there. It's a boat, a lifeboat.
Ahoy! Ahoy on deck! Anybody up there?
Yes, 2 of us. We're stranded up here. Can't you see us?
Up yet? Wave your hands over the rail.
Wave, Tommy. Wave.
I am, Mrs. Martin. I'm waving my hands off.
All right, let's put it up. Stay right where you are. We're coming alongside to pick you up.
Isn't it time yet?
Keep those oars going, men. We don't stop till the sun's overhead.
It's overhead now.
Keep it going, Harold. I'll tell you when to quit.
Gee, Mrs. Martin, do you think we'll ever get to America in a boat like this? We're in the same place we were yesterday and the day before.
No, Tommy. Just seems that way. The ocean looks the same no matter where you are.
Where does the ocean end?
Now. Don't you think about things like that. We just keep on telling stories and playing our word games, and before you know it, we'll be there.
Sure. We'll be there, all right. All we've got to do is row 400 miles, that's all. We'll be there in 20 minutes.
Leave him alone, Harold.
What's the matter with that man, Mrs. Martin?
Nothing, Tommy. We just won't listen to him, that's all.
But looks like he's scared or something. He's afraid we won't get there?
Oh, don't be too. Only very little boys are afraid. Come on now. We'll play that furniture game you like so much. Remember how it goes? We build a house in our minds, and then we fill up every one of the rooms with the right pieces of furniture.
I'm thirsty, Mrs. Martin.
Yes, dear. We'll have a drink as soon as they pass the cup around. Now, what kind of a house do you see, Tommy?
Green one.
The green one. That's fine.
Big green one with a fountain in the front.
Sure. Fountain in the front, cold water running in all the rooms, and the icebox is full of food.
Shut up.
Well, make them stop it, will you?
Leave them alone. They're not hurting you. Come on, get that all moving.
He is afraid, Mrs. Martin.
No, Tommy. I told you. Only little boys are afraid. He's just tired and hot from the sun. Come on now. We'd better furnish our house. We won't have a place to sleep tonight. Let's do your room first, Tommy. Now, what sort of a desk would you like?
All right, man. Paws up.
Tell me about the desk, Tommy.
All right, go on, tell her. What are you waiting for?
Leave us alone.
Not bothering you. Go on, play your game. Only don't sing any more of those hymns or we'll never get sure.
What do you mean?
The desk, Tommy, the desk. Is it green? Or is it maple?
Make it grey. Match the color of these sharks out here.
Get away from Hal.
We'll all be grey. Grey and green and every color of the rainbow. That's how we'll all look when we're dead.
On it, Harold. I warn you not.
Oh, no, please. Don't fight. No.
Now you be quiet for a while.
Stop it. I can't stand anymore.
Mrs. Martin, please, don't cry, please.
I can't help it, Tommy. I'm not made of iron. I can't hold it back anymore.
The game, Mrs. Martin. We haven't finished the game. What kind of a chair should I have? A wooden one or a leather one?
A wooden one, Tommy. A leather one wouldn't be right for you.
Sure. A wooden one like this boat that's going to take us to America.
Yes, Tommy.
Don't be afraid, Mrs. Martin. Only little boys are afraid.
That's it, Mrs. Martin. Straight ahead. That thin little line on the horizon.
Land.
Yeah, Trinidad. We'll be on the beach before sundown.
Gee, if that's land, why isn't everybody yelling and shouting? Doesn't that mean we're going to be saved?
Sure it does, Tommy. Only I guess we're all too tired and too happy to make much fuss about it.
Gee, land. All we've seen is water for almost a month. How many times did we furnish that house of ours, Mrs. Martin?
I don't know, Tommy. But this time we're going to get a chance to really furnish it.
You mean Trinidad is America, Mrs. Martin? It's home?
Well, it's almost home, Tommy. Home is just beyond the horizon. But it's so close. I can see it.
You can see it?
Now I can. I couldn't back there in Bombay. But now, it's just as clear as a frosty morning. We've got a great future, Tommy. And it's waiting for us right there, straight ahead.
What's it like, Mrs. Martin?
Oh, it's like all the wonderful things we've always dreamed about. Home, and friends, school, and growing up in America. It's life, and something to live for.
You see all that?
Gee, it's not so hard, Tommy, when you look ahead.
That's the way I'm looking. You know something, Mrs. Martin?
What, Tommy?
You know something, Mrs. Martin? I never thanked you for all this.
All what?
Oh, gee, you saved my life.
Did I, Tommy? I was just about to thank you for saving mine.
Today, back in America, taking up the duties of life again, Ann Martin is vibrant and alive once more, and happy. Perhaps because she rescued a little boy, or perhaps because the little boy rescued her. Thank you, Geraldine Fitzgerald, for a most sympathetic portrayal of Ann Martin.
I was delighted to play the part, Dick, because, well, there's something quite wonderful about the way a child can fill a void in your life if you give it just half a chance.
And by that half a chance, you mean a little love and understanding?
That's right, Dick. Every child should have those things.
Every child should have a few other things, too, as Edna Kastler-Jarl pointed out in her poem in the Reader's Digest.
Will you read it for us, Geraldine?
I'd love to, Dick. Every child should know a hill, and the clean joy of running down its long slope with the wind in his hair. He should know a tree, the comfort of its cool lap of shade, and the supple strength of its arms, balancing him between earth and sky. So he is the creature of both. He should know bits of singing water, the strange mysteries of its depths, and the long, sweet grasses that border it. Every child should know some scrap of uninterrupted sky to shout against, and have one star, dependable and bright, for wishing on.
Thank you again, Geraldine Fitzgerald.
Thanksgiving is only 1 week from today, and I suppose you've already made your plans. I'd like to offer this idea to make your plans for Thanksgiving really complete. Tomorrow, go to your friendly Hallmark dealer and choose some Hallmark Thanksgiving cards to send your special friends and loved ones who won't be with you on Thanksgiving Day. There's no more thoughtful way to let them know that, though far away, they are close to your heart.
And now is the time to select your Christmas cards, too. You'll find at your Hallmark dealers a complete selection of Hallmark cards, the most beautiful ever. Cards that capture all the wonder and joy of Christmas.
Remember, at Thanksgiving, at Christmas, and on every occasion, those 3 identifying words, a Hallmark card, tell your friends you cared enough to choose the very best.
You're cordially invited to be with us again next week at the same time for another fine dramatic program brought to you by the makers of Hallmark greeting cards, America's favorite greeting cards. At that time, you will hear the true and inspiring story of a lonely little man who had the courage to follow the impulse of a kind and unselfish heart. Our star will be one of the finest character actors of the American stage and screen, Otto Kruger.
Geraldine Fitzgerald can currently be seen starring in the Warner Brothers picture, Nobody Lives Forever. Which Was the Rescuer was dramatized by Robert Sloan from the Reader's Digest, America's favorite magazine. The Hallmark program was directed by Mark Loeb, with music especially composed by Jack Miller. Remember, a Hallmark card will best express your perfect taste, your thoughtfulness. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Cream of wheat is so good to eat, yes, we have it every day. We sing this song, it will make us strong, and it takes us out, hooray! It's good for growing babies and grown-ups too to eat. For all the family's breakfast, you can see cream of wheat.
Stay tuned to HOJO Radio.
The story of Dr. Kildare.
Whatsoever house I enter, there will I go for the benefit of the sick. And whatsoever things I see or hear concerning the life of men, I will keep silence thereon, counting such things to be held as sacred trusts. I will exercise my art solely for the...
The story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres and Lionel Barrymore. Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer brought you those famous motion pictures. Now this exciting, heartwarming series is heard on radio. In just a moment, the story of Dr. Kildare. But first, your announcer. Now, the story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres as Dr. Kildare and Lionel Barrymore as Dr. Gillespie.
Blair General Hospital. one of the great citadels of American medicine. A clump of gray-white buildings planted deep in the heart of New York. The nerve center of medical progress, where great minds and skilled hands wage man's everlasting battle against death and disease. Blair General Hospital, where life begins, where life ends, where life goes on.
Parker, I'm bored. Right up to the back teeth. Just plain downright bored.
Well, now that's just too bad, Dr. Gillespie. You can't have excitement all the time, so you might just as well relax and enjoy it.
Enjoy being bored? Parker, according to Schopenhauer, the most general survey shows us that the two foes of human happiness are pain and boredom.
That's very interesting, Dr. Gillespie. And who is Schopenhauer?
Who is Schopenhauer? Parker, you are an idiot.
Well, I can't remember every doctor who comes into this hospital.
I could hold a more intelligent conversation with an anthropoid ape.
What?
I beg your pardon, Dr. Gillespie. Yes, sir.
Well, come in, Pithecanthropus erectus.
Huh? Well, I don't follow you, Doc. Sir, I mean.
Never mind, Wayman. What do you want?
Well, I was looking for Dr. Kildare. They told me to bring him this here lab report, and I thought to...
Lab report?
Yeah.
Oh, here. Let me see it.
Yes, sir.
Here, Parker. Do you recall any patient of Kildare's named Barbara Lane?
Why, no, Dr. Gillespie.
Hey, that's the dame I bring in about noon. Emergency call from a hotel a couple of blocks down the street. She had an overdose of sleeping pills.
That's a very interesting report. Was she unconscious, Wayman?
Sure. Out cold. Limp as a wet noodle. We found half a bottle of pills in her room. Doc Kearing was the intern.
Remarkable. Now, how in the world could... Oh, Kildare. Come in. I got something here to show you.
What's up?
Here. You might as well look at this. It's for you.
Oh, it's the lab report on Miss Lane. Young Gearing asked me to check her over, but I haven't had time yet. She's an emergency case. Acute barbital poisoning from an overdose.
From an overdose of what?
Concentration in bloodstream, 3 parts. Wayman, I understand you and Curing found this girl in a state of coma.
Coma?
Limp as a wet noodle.
Oh, well, yes, she was.
Why, that concentration is no more than she'd have from taking 1 tablet.
1 tablet, Doc? I'm telling you, the bottle was half empty.
Nevertheless, this girl hasn't taken more than 1 or maybe 2 tablets. So why was she in a state of coma?
Of course, there could be an idiosyncrasy in her reaction to barbital.
Yes, it could be, but the odds are against it. You know, Jimmy, this Lane girl may have deliberately faked a case of barbital poisoning.
But why? She went through some pretty rough treatment when she was brought in here. Stomach pump, mag salt, ephedrine shots. She couldn't have enjoyed it.
No, but she might put up with it if she had a reason.
What reason?
Well, I don't know yet. Maybe you'd better have a talk with her, Jimmy.
I'm going to.
Dr. Kildare, don't you pay any attention to him. He's just trying to stir up excitement because he's bored. He said so.
Parker, I can only think of one reason why I go on putting up with you. The fact that use doth breed a habit in a man.
Oh, you and your Schopenhauer.
You know, when you come right down to it, Miss Lane, we don't know very much about you.
No, I suppose you don't, Dr. Kildare.
The hotel clerk said you registered the day before yesterday from Chicago. Now, that's all he knows about you. Except that one of the maids found you unconscious in your room around noon today.
Yes, that's right. I can't really understand what happened.
Don't you have any relatives or friends here whom you'd like us to notify?
No, I don't know anyone in New York. I just got in a couple of days ago. I came here to look for work.
Without any luggage?
Well, it's checked at Penn Station.
Where's the baggage check?
Well, it's in my purse. I guess it is.
The nurse says there was nothing in your purse but some money and a lipstick.
Well, then I must have lost it somewhere. Why do you keep asking me questions? I don't have to answer you. I haven't done
Easy
anything.
now, Miss Lane.
You don't have any right to persecute me like this. I didn't ask to be brought here, and I don't have to tell you anything.
Miss Lane.
I haven't done anything to be treated this way. I
Miss
can't
Lane.
stand it, and I won't.
Miss Lane, stop it.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get all upset like that.
It's all right. I'm sorry, too. I guess I wasn't very tactful.
It's just that I'm nervous and jumpy. After effects, I guess.
After effects of what?
Why, of all those sleeping pills, of course.
How many would you say, Miss Lane?
Well, I don't know. A whole lot, I guess. I don't know.
As a matter of fact, didn't you only take one?
I don't remember.
What's the last thing you can remember before you were brought here?
Well, I couldn't sleep all night. I was upset. And this morning I decided to take a sleeping pill, and the next thing I woke up here in the hospital.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess that's all. How do you feel now?
Oh, I feel all right, I guess.
Good. Sure you don't want us to notify your family?
I don't have any. My parents are both dead.
I see. Well, ring for the nurse if you want anything.
Dr. Kildare, what are you planning to do with me?
In view of the circumstances, we'll keep you here tonight for observation. If you still feel all right tomorrow, you'll be discharged. Is that okay with you?
Why, of course. Sure, it's okay. Why not?
I can't understand Miss Lane's attitude, Dr. Gillespie. She's antagonistic, on guard, and she flies apart at the slightest pressure.
That girl's up to something, Jimmy. Or she has been, and she's afraid she'll give herself away.
Maybe so. And I still don't know any more about it than I did before I talked to her. Doesn't make any sense, any way you look at it.
Confound it, Jimmy. Ordinarily, I don't pay much attention to hunches, but there's something about this case that keeps nagging at the corner of my brain.
Excuse me, Dr. Gillespie, but...
What is it, Nosy?
I am not, and I... Oh, there's a Mr. Lane here to see you.
Lane?
Lane. That's the girl's name. Send him in, Parker.
You may go in, Mr. Lane.
She told me she didn't have any family.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good afternoon.
Sit down, Mr. Lane, sit down. Now what can we do for you?
I came here to see my daughter Barbara, gentlemen. They told me downstairs that I'd better talk with you first. She is here, isn't she?
Yes, she's here, Mr. Lane. Do you know the circumstances of the case?
Yes. My agent had traced her to the hotel last night, and when I went there to get her this afternoon, the clerk told me what had happened. You see, gentlemen, my daughter ran away from home a week ago.
Do you have any idea why she decided to come here to New York?
Come to New York? She was in New York. I have an apartment at 271 Park Avenue.
Well, your daughter seems to have quite an active imagination, Mr. Lane.
Well, I must confess that I don't understand that girl, gentlemen. This isn't the first time she's run away, you know, and yet I've given her everything money can buy. By the way, this package, some clothes and things for Barbara, is it all right if I take them to her?
Oh, sure. Parker!
Yes, Dr. Gillespie?
Show Mr. Lane up to 512, Parker.
Of course. You'll come with me, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Yes.
And I'm sorry for all the trouble my daughter has caused.
No trouble at all. Goodbye. Well, there goes the end of a good hunch.
Jimmy, I'm not so sure.
The girl found out her father had located her. She knew she was in for it, so she staged this act for sympathy. Seems to fit.
Yes, but there's one thing that doesn't fit. That hunch of mine. And, Jimmy, I've still got that hunch.
Well, Dr. Gillespie, sir, I thought you wanted me to get right up here and tell you what I found out.
Well, then why didn't you? It must be nearly midnight.
No, sir, it's only about 10 o'clock, sir.
Wayman, don't start an argument.
Yes, sir. No, sir.
Confound it, I want Kildare.
Well, Sally's already calling him on the publical address system.
Wayman, get out of here.
Yes, sir.
Parker!
Oh, sorry, Miss Parker. Jeepers, just let me get out of here.
Dr. Gillespie. I was just going up to the wardroom to have tea and sandwiches with the girls, and if you want something, you can just wait. I won't do it.
Well, so it's mutiny, is it?
Well, I certainly don't see any reason why once in a while I can't.
I see.
Oh, Kildare. Come in.
Well, I'll be back later, Dr. Gillespie.
Parker, don't you leave this office. You can lift your pinky some other night.
Oh, horrible man.
Understand you've been looking for me. What's up?
It's about that Lane girl, Jimmy. Have you talked to her again?
No, but the nurse just told me she's been in good spirits ever since her father was here this afternoon.
Ah, indeed.
Yes, says she's been cheerful, talkative, babbled the whole story. That's what we thought. Play for sympathy from her father.
Remarkable. Because you might be interested in knowing that Mr. Lane is not her father.
No?
Or at least he's not who he claimed to be. I sent Wayman out to that Park Avenue number he gave us, and there's no such address.
What? That doesn't make sense.
She planned to get into this hospital, Jimmy, but why?
One moment, Mr. Holmes. I'll bring the needle.
And where does Lane fit? Needle?
Yes, you remember Sherlock Holmes' one great weakness.
Morbid and depressed earlier, semi-hysteria, feelings of persecution, and after her father came, buoyant, cheerful, talkative. Why? Because he brought her a morphine shot.
No, wait a minute.
Jimmy, Barbara Lane is a drug addict.
You could be right. The emergency treatment she went through could have covered the symptoms.
Has she asked for a narcotic of any kind?
No, not even a sedative. An addicts always do.
But that must be the reason she planned to get in here. And you watch. She'll pull something else and stay here.
Pardon me, Dr. Kildare.
What is it, Parker?
The dispensary clerk from the 5th floor is here.
Well, that's fine, but
Well, here I am, Dr. Kildare. Came down as quick as I could.
Maxie? What are you talking about?
Well, I don't know. You phoned me about 5 minutes ago and said to get down to him right away.
I didn't phone you.
But you said it was you, or whoever it was said it was.
Now, wait a minute. Did you lock the dispensary?
Well, sure. I always lock it when
Never mind. Let's get up there fast.
Kildare, what's all this about?
I don't know yet, but Barbara Lane's room is on the 5th floor in the same wing as the drug dispensary. Come on, Maxie, let's go.
We return to the story of Dr. Kildare in just a moment. Continue with the story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres as Dr. Kildare and Lionel Barrymore as Dr. Gillespie.
Well, the dispensary door's still closed, Dr. Kildare. Everything looks okay from here.
I could be wrong, of course.
Jeepers, boss, I can't get over it. A slick little doll like that being a hophead.
Well, we'll soon know whether she's been here or not. Door's still locked.
Yeah. Open it up, Maxie.
Just a second.
Everything seems to be in order. Better check the narcotics cabinet.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Locked tight. What a relief. I guess I better take a look inside just to make sure.
Boss, you want I should go see if Dr. Gillespie found her in her room?
No, wait a minute, Wayman. I want to see if...
Dr. Kildare.
Yeah?
It's empty.
There's no doubt now what she was up to. Wayman, get down to the 1st floor and block off the stairways.
Okay, Doc.
And don't let anyone up or down unless you know who they are.
Gotcha, boss. Nobody goes neither way, even if it's over my dead body.
How did she do it, Dr. Kildare? Both doors are locked, and I swear they haven't been forced.
I guess it's that Papa brought her a set of skeleton keys, along with a morphine shot and some clothes.
He must be the one who phoned me and said it was you.
Yes, they seem to know our routine around here pretty well. They picked the one time in the evening when all the nurses were off the floor. How much stuff did you have in the cabinet?
Full quarter. I refilled it right after I came on duty. Gosh, that's about $3,000 worth of morphine gone.
It's worth over $100,000 to a peddler. They cut it about 40 to 1 on the black market. Only it's not gone yet, and it's not going to be.
Well, I don't know. It looks to me like...
The elevator operator said Barbara Lane hadn't come down. With Wayman there now, she's trapped somewhere up here. Maybe you'd better get out and help Wayman.
Okay.
And tell the night supervisor to warn all the nurses. I'll check with her after I see what Gillespie's found out.
Look, Dr. Gillespie, here's her hospital robe hanging in the closet. Why, she'll catch a death of cold, to say the least.
Parker, you can drop that tone of outraged morality. Girl's fully clothed. That was what was in the package her alleged father brought her this afternoon.
Well, I only thought that, after all, she...
I know what you thought. I always do. 10 minutes before you think it.
Well...
According to the eminent philosopher, the fundamental fault of the female character is that it has no sense of justice. In your case, Parker, it's merely a matter of no sense at all.
Oh, don't you quote at me anymore. You've been Schopenhauering me all day.
Any sign of her, Dr. Gillespie?
No, Jimmy, no. She apparently got dressed and skinned out.
Well, the narcotics are gone. She probably used a skeleton key. I've got Maxie and Wayman guarding the elevator and the stairs.
Good.
She's somewhere on these upper floors, and she can't get out, but we've got to find her.
And it might be a good idea to call the police.
Yes, I guess we'll have to if we don't locate her in the next 10 minutes or so. I suppose we ought to notify Carew.
Yeah, well, we'll regard that as the last resort. Jimmy, I've been trying to figure out just what plan this girl had in mind.
Well, we know what the first part of it was, to steal the narcotic supply from the dispensary. And after that, she must have planned to get it out of the hospital.
But how did she plan to get herself out, too?
You mean she may intend to come back if it... Yeah, that stuff could be tossed out of a window.
That's it. Maybe she meant to get rid of it and then come back here and go to bed as though nothing happened. Ordinarily, the drugs wouldn't be missed for several hours.
Lane is probably waiting outside somewhere. But if that is it, she couldn't use this room. All these windows overlook the street. They're right above the sidewalk.
Well, how about the east side where the ambulance drive comes in?
That's right. And there's a lot of shrubbery next to the building.
And no access on this floor, though, except private rooms.
But right below here, the 4th floor terrace. It's dark out there. It'd be perfect.
Well, there's just a bad chance, all right.
We can't let any chances slip past. I'm going out there.
Good. I'll call Wayman and send him out along the drive with that monkey wrench of his. Go to it, Jimmy.
Dark out here. Miss Lane?
Who is it?
Oh, there you are.
Dr. Kildare. Ralph, somebody's here. Watch out, I'm going to throw it.
Stop, don't.
There it comes.
You little fool. Wayman, over to your left. He's there in the bushes.
There, boss, I see him. All right, you drop it. Stay back.
Careful, he may have a gun.
Well, it ain't gonna do him no good.
Nice going, Wayman. Is he knocked out?
Sure, Doc. Hold it. Now, marionette is heavy.
Well, get him over to the ambulance entrance. And call the police. And hang on to that package.
Okay, boss. Just leave it there. Hey, look, the name!
What are you talking? Hey, Miss Lane, get down off that parapet.
Don't come any closer. I'll jump if you do.
Miss Lane, you wouldn't.
What have I got to lose?
Well, it's your life.
Is that all? You don't know very much, do you?
I know that you're a drug addict, if that's what you mean, and I know it isn't your fault.
Tell that to the cops. See if they believe it.
I think they'll consider it, at least, especially if I stand by you, and I will. I have a great deal of sympathy for a drug addict, Miss Lane, and I know this man who posed as your father was probably your source of supply.
That's right, as well as my boss.
Yes, a peddler can always give orders to an addict who has to depend on him.
You're so wise, Doctor. And maybe you know everything that can mean.
For one thing, it probably means he forced you into helping him with this theft tonight. Oh, I've seen a lot of addicts, Miss Lane. I've cured a lot of them, too.
How noble of you. And now you're all for saving poor, innocent little me. You fool. I'm 19 and I've been on the stuff for 3 years.
Well, what of it? If you're willing to cooperate with me, I'll...
Dr. Kildare, I've warned you. If you come any closer, I'll jump.
All right. I'll stay where I am, but please listen to me.
Kildare?
Over here, Dr. Gillespie.
Make him stay back, too. I'm warning you.
She's up on the parapet, threatens to jump.
Think she'll do it, Jimmy?
She will if she gets excited. Any ideas?
No, keep her talking.
Well, what's the plan, boys? Aren't 2 doctors a match for one lousy hophead?
I think that's your own title. I wouldn't call you that.
No? And what would you call me, Dr. Kildare?
I'd call you a very lovely young girl who's managed to get herself mixed up in some very nasty trouble before she's even had a chance to find out what life's all about.
Oh, I know what it's all about, all right. Plenty. Want a case history for your files, Doc? What's that?
It's the police after your partner.
Keep her talking, Jimmy. They're mad nets.
I would like to hear your story. As a matter of fact, how did it happen?
Oh, you're just stalling. You don't care, not really.
Yes, I do. Oh, come on now. Tell me, where did you live and grow up?
Chicago. I ran away from home when I was 15 and came to New York. I was broke and I couldn't get a job and I kicked around a lot.
Yeah, go on.
Guy I knew got me to try a pop and within a month I was on the stuff. I've been on it ever since.
We can change that if you will let us.
You think I haven't tried? Do you know how it feels to try sweating it out, leaving that stuff alone? Thinking you're going crazy, biting your hands so they bleed to keep from screaming?
You can't do it alone. Of course you can't. You need help, medical help. But I'll see that you get it.
Oh, you're lying. You're only saying that because you don't want me to jump. Because you want to turn me over to the cops.
Confounded crazy kid.
It's no use. You're like everybody else, and you're lying. That's what you're doing.
Whatever we do, it's got to be fast.
I won't listen anymore, because you don't mean it.
Sometimes you can hit their vanity. I don't know.
You want to trick me and fool me like everybody else.
Miss Lane, you listen to me for just one moment now.
I won't.
Afterward, you can go ahead and kill yourself if you want to. But have you ever seen the body of one who's jumped off a building?
What are you talking about?
Bones break up and it smashes like a piece of ripe fruit. And the face never looks like a face anymore. Your face is very pretty the way it is now.
Stop that. Stop talking like that.
And another thing, we're not very high up here, you know, and it's about an even chance you'd go on living with your face all smashed up.
Stop it. I won't listen to you. Stop saying those things.
I don't know, Jimmy. It's 50-50.
Miss Lane, if you'll step down off that parapet and trust me, I'll see you through this, and I'll ask the court to be given your parole. And then if you're willing to cooperate with me, I'll cure you. On my oath as a doctor and by everything in this world I believe in. I promise you that. Now, what about it? Come on, will you take a chance?
If only I could.
Tarnation, she's going to jump.
No, she can't.
I'll take that chance, Dr. Kildare.
Good.
When can we start?
You've taken the first step now, Barbara. We've already started.
In just a moment, we will return to the story of Dr. Kildare. The story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres as Dr. Kildare and Lionel Barrymore as Dr. Gillespie.
I guess I forgot to mention it, Dr. Gillespie. I had a letter this morning from Bradley up at White Hill Sanitarium.
Oh, yeah? And how is the Lane girl, Jimmy?
Very enthusiastic about her. Calls her that courageous little Lane kid. She's apparently still determined to fight it out.
Good. I think she'll make it, too. Those first 2 weeks are the hard ones.
Oh, I hope she makes it. Caught by the drug habit at her age. Beaten before she even had a chance.
Yeah, same old story. Just this once for a thrill. If they only knew the penalty before they started. But
Dr. Gillespie, come see
Something terrible has happened.
Oh, well, what's Carew done now, Parker?
No, it has nothing to do with Dr. Carew at all. It's your watch that I was supposed to take to the jeweler's last month. I just found it in my desk. I'd forgotten all about it.
Jimmy, we have here a living proof of a very interesting biological fact.
Oh, what's that?
That the human organism is capable of surviving without a brain. Oh, what? Do you deny that you're a nincompoop?
Well, I've just been waiting for the next time you insulted me like this. And I would like to inform you that intellect is invisible to the man who has none.
Well, by the great horn spoon. Where'd you find that?
Why, Dr. Gillespie, don't you remember? That's from Schopenhauer.
You have just heard the story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres and Lionel Barrymore. Dr. Kildare is presented by arrangement with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, producers of Key to the City, starring Clark Gable, Loretta Young, Frank Morgan, and Marilyn Maxwell. This program was written by Les Crutchfield and directed by William P. Russo. Original music was composed and conducted by Walter Schumann. Supporting cast included Virginia Gregg, Ed Max, Parley Bear, Tom Brown, and Barbara Ruick. Dick Joy speaking.
Right side of the picture. Remember, when you give the wearing parts of your car good protection, that helps it stay young and act young a long, long time. So give your automobile the modern method of lubrication, Gulflex registered lubrication. Here's why. First,
expert Gulflex operator works from a master chart of your model car, thus protects each wearing point in the chassis and body.
Second,
the Gulflex man uses not just 1 or 2 greases, but 6 special lubricants, especially developed by lubrication authorities.
And third, here's proof of how good these lubricants are.
In recent tests by Gulf engineers, Gulflex chassis lubricant, for instance, stayed in the shackles 30% better and lubricated nearly 100% longer than the average of competitive products tested.
So get Gulflex registered lubrication, a much better than usual grease job at no extra cost. Remember, too, that your good Gulf dealer is also ready with splendid motor oils and gasolines, such as Gulf No-Nox gasoline, the extra value gasoline that has been especially designed to stop harmful pounding and hammering inside your engine. Make it a habit to stop regularly at your neighborhood good Gulf dealers, your headquarters for making your car last longer.
HOJO Radio, where the classics come alive.
The National Broadcasting Company delays the start of this program to bring you a special bulletin. From the NBC newsroom in New York, a display of perfect teamwork by American ground and air forces has stalled the communist drive on the Cheonan front. One dispatch says the North Koreans have suffered their first real thrashing of the invasion. And their push on Tajan with 50,000 troops has been halted, at least for the moment, at a point some 35 miles from Tajan. Keep tuned to your NBC station for the later news.
The Adventures of The Saint, starring Vincent Price. The Saint, based on characters created by Leslie Charteris and known to millions from books, magazines, and motion pictures. The Robin Hood of modern crime now comes to radio, transcribed, starring Hollywood's brilliant and talented actor Vincent Price as The Saint.
Maxie,
Taxi!
You don't want a taxi, Mr. Templar. I got a car right here.
What? Well, Augie Coffleplate. When did you leave Alcatraz?
Oh, I got my diploma a couple of months ago. Now I'm back on the apple.
Oh.
Hop in.
Are you going my way?
Yeah, I'm going your way.
All right, thanks. You're sure it's no trouble?
It's no trouble. Move into the driver's seat.
You want me to drive?
That's right.
Why? Oh, don't tell me this is a hot car, and you don't want to be found at the wheel.
How did you guess?
Augie, didn't you learn anything in prison?
Yeah, I learned crime does not pay. Besides which, it is against the law.
Well, I'm glad to hear it.
Didn't you know?
I mean, I'm glad to find out you know.
Oh, sure, Mr. Templar. I learned my lesson. I'm off crime for keep.
But then this car.
Ain't it a beaut? And the keys was in it. With a setup like that, it'd be a crime not to take it. And like I said...
Yes, you're off crime for keeps.
Yeah. Now, let's go, shall we? Start her up.
Oh, but Augie...
Do like I tell you.
Oh, certainly, Augie.
That's right. Now, put her into first.
Oh, Augie, why didn't you swipe a car with automatic drive while you're at it?
I just wasn't thinking.
Augie, why the gun?
So you'll do like I tell you.
Oh.
That's how come you're driving. I want to keep my eye on you.
The eye I don't mind. It's the gun I resent. Put it away and I'll be grateful as long as I live.
Trouble is, you ain't going to live very long.
Oh, so that's how we stand.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Mr. Templar, but what can I do? The job's a job.
Chuck the job. You know the saying, all work and no play.
Oh, I'll play after I knock off.
You mean after you knock me off?
That's right.
But, Augie, you know, if you kill me, you'll hate yourself in the morning.
Yeah, I know. But if I don't, I'll hate myself tonight. It's a cash deal.
And if I top whatever you're getting?
No dice. I got my reputation to think of.
Oh, pardon me for being crude.
Oh, that's all right, Mr. Templar.
Well, as long as you're determined to get rid of me, at least tell me who's giving the orders.
Oh, sorry. That's confidential.
Oh, I won't breathe it to a living soul, believe me.
Huh? Oh, I guess you won't at that.
So there's no harm.
I guess you're right, under the circumstances.
Well, then?
It's a guy named Ronald Stanton.
Ronald Stanton? Who's he?
In my business, you don't ask questions.
All right, a guy named Ronald Stanton. But what's he got against me?
Look, in my business, you
yes, but in my business you do.
Oh. Well, all I know, Stanton calls me in, gives me the assignment, gives me a down payment, and I get the rest on delivery.
Of my court?
Right.
Well, it's nice work if you can get it.
Yeah, I'm sorry about this, Mr. Templar, but times are tough.
Mm-hmm.
You got to take what comes along.
Mm-hmm.
Opportunity only knocks once.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's got to live.
My sentiments exactly.
Hey, wait a minute. What are you doing?
I'm just stepping on the gas.
Slow down. I said slow down or I'll plug you.
You think we can find a coffin built for two?
Look out for that car!
Close.
What are you trying to do, scare me to death?
It's a thought.
If you don't stop...
Yes?
If you don't stop...
You said that before.
Please, Mr. Templar.
Oh, you want me to stop?
Yeah.
Well, all right.
What hit me?
The windshield, and now I'll take that gun. Come on, Augie, snap out of it.
Mr. Templar, what was the idea? Don't you realize we might have been killed?
Never mind, Johnson. I'll get it. I'm expecting visitors.
Very good, sir.
Yes?
Are you Ronald Stanton?
Yes, and you?
Simon Templar.
Simon Templar, as I live and breathe.
No, as I do. Surprise, isn't it?
Where's Augie?
Nursing a headache?
Oh, dear me, I should have known.
May I come in? I want to talk to you.
Certainly, certainly.
Said the spider to the fly. But before you get any ideas, Mr. Stanton, I've left word I was coming here. So for your sake...
I quite understand. Come in.
Right.
Now, you have nothing to worry about, Mr. Templar. I am constitutionally incapable of violence. That's why I'm forced to depend upon dullards like Augie.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, I'm really in every way unsuited for the sort of work I've engaged in. I should have been an artist. I have the soul of an artist, the temperament of an artist, the intellect of an artist.
Then why aren't you an artist?
My paintings stink.
Oh.
So you'll find me a swindler instead. Degrading, but a man must live.
So I've heard.
And at least it does involve intelligence. Matching one's wits, as it were. Oh, dear me.
What's the matter?
I just remembered. I must make a note to call the florist in the morning and cancel the flowers.
What flowers?
For your funeral. You won't be needing them, will you?
Not if I can help it.
Pity. They were gorgeous. You'd have loved them.
Well, I'll try to bear up.
Well, now, to business. I suppose you've come here for your money.
Have I?
Since Augie failed me, I'm afraid I'll have to pay. By the way, you're not going to hold this unpleasantness with Augie against me, are you?
A little thing like that? Don't be silly.
I knew you'd understand. It was a natural move on my part. Anyone would have done the same, rather than pay. You would have yourself.
I wouldn't have used Augie.
Neither shall I next time. But since you and I understand each other, it won't affect our dealing.
Not in the least.
Good. Then it's still just the agreed-upon amount.
Yes, the agreed-upon amount.
Excellent. I may not have it all here, though. We'll see how much is in the safe. Just a moment. Afraid this isn't quite enough. Let me count it.
Don't you ever keep that safe locked?
Never can remember the combination. No, this is only 12,000.
Only 12,000.
Yes. You see, I really didn't expect you. If you'll come to the office in the morning, I'll give you the other 3. Will you be there?
Unless I wake up in the meantime. Good night, Mr. Stanton.
Yes. May I help you?
Well, Mr. Stanton has a well-equipped office, hasn't he?
Yes, very.
And a well-equipped receptionist.
Oh. What do you want?
What do I want? We'll get around to that later. Right now, I want to see Mr. Stanton.
Who shall I say is calling?
Simon Templar.
Simon Not the Saint.
All right, not the Saint.
Oh, but you must be.
All right, I am.
Well, I wish you'd make up your mind.
Well, I'm really Bulldog Drummond, but I'm traveling incognito. Now, may I see Mr. Stanton?
Just a moment. Mr. Templar, this is Mr. Briggs, Mr. Stanton's secretary.
Oh, hello. Yes. Templar. What is it, sir? What is it? I'd like to see Mr. Stanton.
Mr. Stanton is a very busy man, sir. Very busy.
He'll see me.
Well, now, I don't know.
But I do know.
As a matter of fact, I don't believe he's in yet. Don't believe he is.
Well, I'll wait.
Can't I help you?
Have you got $3,000?
The $3,000.
$3,000 to go with 12.
I don't understand.
I didn't think you would. I'll wait for Mr. Stanton.
Very well, if you insist. Very well. Come inside. You can wait there.
Thanks.
The name is Linda.
Well, I hope you'll be here when I get back.
I'll make a point of it.
Lead on, Mr. Briggs.
You can wait in my office. This door right here. Go on in.
Thanks.
Do you... Oh...
Yes, Mr. Stanton.
Linda, where's Briggs?
Isn't he in his office?
I've been buzzing. No answer. Go find him, will you?
Yes, Mr. Stanton. He was here a little while ago. Mr. Templar. What's the matter?
I've just been put to sleep, and with you in my dreams, I don't want to wake up.
But what happened?
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Where's Mr. Briggs?
I wouldn't know.
Is he the one who knocked you out?
I wouldn't be surprised.
But why?
That, as they say, is the question.
And why did he tell you that Mr. Stanton wasn't in?
That, as they say, how many questions are there? And as long as questions seem to be in order, allow me... is Mr. Stanton in?
Yes, he's been in all morning, so I couldn't understand
Look, help me up, will you?
Oh, of course.
Thanks.
What?
It's nice. Leaning on you. I must remember to get knocked out more often.
Do you think you can walk?
Probably, but I don't feel inclined to find out.
Well, we can't just stand here with our arms around each other.
Can't we?
Well, on second thought, perhaps we can. On third thought, we can't. Here comes Mr. Stanton.
Well, isn't this chummy?
This is Mr. Templar, Mr. Stanton. He's just had a frightful experience, and
Frightful? quite the contrary, I'd say.
I mean, he was knocked out.
Naturally, one look at you and any man.
I mean, literally.
With a sap, a blackjack.
What? Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
But that's incredible. Who? Why?
I'm afraid you'll have to ask your secretary.
Oh, yes, Briggs. Where is he?
I can't find him, Mr. Stanton. He seems to have left the office.
Could he have left without your seeing him?
Yes, Mr. Templar. Through the back.
But are you trying to say that Briggs knocked you out, Mr. Templar?
Is it so hard to believe?
I just don't understand it.
Well, I came here for sugar, so I suppose he decided to give me my lump.
Quite good, quite good. Ah, yes, sugar. You want the 3,000. I'll get it for you, Mr. Templar.
All right.
And we're agreed this settles my account with you, eh?
Yes, Stanton, it does. But I still have an account to settle with Mr. Briggs. Hello, Linda.
Oh, Mr. Templar. I didn't expect to see you.
I invited you for dinner. Did you think I'd stand you up?
I mean, under the circumstances.
What circumstances?
Haven't you heard? They've found Briggs.
Good. I'll settle with him later. Right now.
But aren't you afraid you'll be seen?
Now, don't tell me you have a jealous husband.
I don't have a husband.
There, you see, life can be beautiful.
But the police.
Are a very dull topic of conversation. I prefer...
But they're looking for you.
For me?
Yes.
So I'll buy a dog license.
It's not about a dog license. I told you they've found Briggs.
So you did. What's he been saying about me?
Nothing. Dead men never do.
Well, then Dead men?
Yes, didn't you know? He's been murdered.
I beg your pardon, monsieur. Would you care to order now, sir?
I'll be very honest with you, Captain. I'm not a bit hungry.
But, monsieur, may I suggest...
No, thank you.
But the chef has prepared pheasant under glass.
Tell the chef to have one on me.
Very well, monsieur.
Now, Linda, what were we talking about?
Oh, Simon.
So I'm suspect number one.
Yes. Did you do it?
Kill Briggs? I hardly knew him. I only kill old friends.
You don't seem to realize how serious this is.
My conscience is clear, and I've got a good lawyer. Tell me something about Stanton, Linda.
What about him?
What's his racket?
Why, he's in the real estate business.
So it says on his door, but what's his racket?
I don't understand.
I wonder.
All I know is Mr. Stanton has some big project underway. He's been selling stock in it.
So that's it.
What?
The racket.
I don't know about it being a racket. It's a business deal. I thought it was legitimate.
Look, you don't pay off somebody to the tune of $15,000 to shut him up about a legitimate business deal.
Did Mr. Stanton do that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know much about it. I've only worked for him a short while. Who did he pay off?
Me.
You? But you said you didn't know.
I didn't. But then we all make mistakes.
You mean Mr. Stanton is a swindler, and he thought you found out, so he paid you to shut up?
Mm-hmm, that's right.
And you accepted his money?
Well, it seemed a shame to spoil his fun, but I'll contribute it to a worthy cause. Do you feel like a worthy cause?
But what made Mr. Stanton think that you knew?
Briggs, obviously. He must have been blackmailing Stanton in my name.
Why your name?
If I say so myself, Linda, and I do, it's a name that carries weight with the underworld.
But why didn't he use his own name?
He anticipated Augie.
What?
Blackmail is a hazardous occupation. Briggs wanted to avoid the hazards, so he used my name, probably intending to send a messenger for the money. But Stanton jumped the gun by sending Augie after me.
Who is Augie?
One of nature's mistakes.
That's not very specific.
If I were any more specific about Augie, I'd spoil your appetite, and it's time for dinner. So let's forget about Augie and order, shall we? Taxi!
You don't want a taxi, Mr. Templar. I got a car right here.
Well, speak of the devil.
Were you speaking of the devil, Mr. Templar?
Figuratively, Augie.
Oh.
Linda, this is Augie.
I see.
Likewise. I am charming to have met you. It is a pleasure. Now, scram.
What?
Scram.
I'm afraid you'd better scram, Linda.
But will you be all right?
Yes, I'm sure Augie will take care of me, won't you, Augie?
Yeah. Now, look, sister, you don't scram so good. You want I should show you how?
No, she don't want you should show her how. Go on, Linda. I'll call you later.
All right, Simon. I'll be waiting.
And you, Mr. Templar, get in the car.
But, Augie...
You heard me.
Me again. Augie, this is where I came in.
You mean this is where you get in? Go ahead.
Oh, all right, Augie.
Only this time, I drive.
Oh, I'm hurt. You didn't like my driving.
So you're hurt. I let you drive, we'll both be hurt. My left hand stays in my lap with the gun. So just sit
quiet. I see Stanton changed his mind.
About what?
Firing you.
Why should he fire me?
He was very upset by last night's fiasco.
Well, Mr. Stanton is not a man to hold a grudge.
Oh, I see.
Besides which, I know too much.
About what?
Things.
Well, I'm glad you kept your job. I'd hate to be taken for a ride by a really efficient hoodlum.
That's no way to talk, Mr. Templar. I'll have you know I ain't no hoodlum.
I'm sorry, I stand corrected.
You'll sit. Right where you are.
Yes, Augie.
And no tricks this time.
No, Augie.
We ain't going to have another Fabasco.
No, Augie.
I am a careful driver.
So I see. But now let's see how you do with my foot on yours.
Hey!
Just watch where you're going, Augie.
Get off my foot!
All right, Augie.
Hey!
Congratulations, Augie. You're really alert. The way you grabbed that wheel, of course, when you grabbed the wheel, I grabbed the gun.
Oh, this is getting monotonous.
Well, I'm willing to quit if you are.
Believe me, Mr. Templar, I am giving it serious consideration.
Mr. Templar.
As you live and breathe.
Quite. But where's Augie?
He met with another Fabasco.
I beg your pardon.
You ought to, Stanton, and you can cancel the flowers again. I'm still alive.
Why, of course you are. Why shouldn't you? Oh, dear me. Did you think that Augie was trying to kill you again?
Wasn't he?
Dear me, no. I simply asked him to bring you here.
He doesn't extend a very cordial invitation.
No, I'm afraid not.
But here I am anyway, Stanton, so what do you want?
It's rather difficult to ask without Augie.
It shouldn't be hard to ask. It might be hard to get.
Yes, but since Augie failed again, why did you come?
To find out why you sicked him on me again. I understood that when you paid me off this morning, we were quits.
Ah, but that was before the murder. That alters matters.
How?
You have $15,000 of mine.
Yours?
I don't wish to discuss ethics, Mr. Templar. Let's just view this pragmatically as simply a bit of tit for tat, as it were.
Very well, pragmatic tit for tat. What does it mean?
I paid you $15,000 for silence. I thought you might care to repay me the 15 for same.
What would I want you to be silent about?
Your whereabouts. The police are looking for the man who was in Stanton's office this morning.
I see.
If you were here in Augie's custody, I could offer you the choice of freedom or arrest. But since Augie once again failed me, the whole matter becomes an academic question.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't blame me for trying. After all, you would have done the same. In fact, you did the same, eh? Every man for himself. And no hard feelings, right?
Quite. Good night, Mr. Stanton. Hello, Linda.
Oh, Simon, are you all right?
It is a bull fiddle. Linda, do you have a key to the office?
Yes.
Good. I'll meet you there in 20 minutes.
Why?
Because I don't have a key.
I mean, why do you want to get into the office?
To find something.
What?
A clue.
What clue?
How should I know? I haven't found it yet.
Don't you expect to?
With your help.
All right, I'll be there.
But look out for Stanton.
Why?
I have an idea he'll be coming, too.
Oh, did you ask him?
No, but I don't think he needs an invitation.
And you don't want him to see me?
Not until we're in the office. I don't want to scare him away.
Oh, it begins to sound ominous.
You afraid?
Not as long as you're there.
I wonder how I ought to take that.
As a compliment.
All right. I'll be waiting, Linda. Hurry.
Am I late, Simon?
Right on the nose.
Oh, good. I hurried.
Well, let's go in.
All right.
Now, don't turn on the light. I don't want Stanton to know we're here.
Whatever you say. But what makes you so sure he's coming?
I just paid him a visit. I could see he was packing. He's preparing to leave town, and he'll probably want to clean out the office first.
He's running away?
So it would seem.
Well, now what do we do?
I'm going in back to see what I can find. You stay here at your desk. If Stanton comes, buzz me.
You mean I stay alone in the dark?
I'll only be a minute, then we'll stay together in the dark.
All right. Can you find your way to the door?
Yeah, I found it. I'll be right back.
All right. Yes, Simon? You want something?
Has Stanton showed up?
Not yet.
Well, I'll be right out.
Did you find what you were looking for?
Yes.
Already?
Already.
Amazing.
You don't know the saint. I'll be right out and give you a chance to learn.
Simon?
Yes, Linda.
What did you find?
Do you see what I see?
I don't see anything. It's so dark.
At the door. Silhouette.
Oh.
Hello, Stanton.
What? Oh.
Here, let me turn the light on for you.
Oh, Templar and Linda.
Yes, we've been waiting for you, Stanton.
How did you know?
Elementary, my dear Stanton.
Seems you've beaten me, Templar, to everything except the draw. Put up your hands.
I thought gunplay was out of your line, Mr. Stanton.
Sometimes one is forced to take matters into one's own hands. But I assure you I don't relish it, so please do as I say, both of you. Because if I'm forced to shoot you, I know I shall be quite ill.
What are you going to do?
If you two will just stand quietly with your hands raised.
I have a better idea. He's between us, Linda. He can't watch us both at the same time.
Get over next to her, Templar.
Ordinarily, there's nothing I'd rather do, but under the circumstances...
If you don't obey me, much as I hate the sight of blood, I shall be forced to shoot you.
In other words, Stanton, there comes a time when even you are willing to commit murder.
Only when absolutely necessary.
It's a nice distinction.
I don't care to discuss it. Now, will you get over next to Linda?
On the contrary. Linda, while he's watching me, now's your chance. Clout him with that standing ashtray.
No, you don't.
All right, Stanton, now that you've turned to her, I've got you covered. Drop your gun.
All right. Don't shoot. As I've told you, I can't stand the sight of blood, especially my own.
Pick up his gun, Linda.
Oh, I've got it.
Dear me. Perhaps Augie isn't so incompetent after all. Gunplay can be quite complicated.
Well, we'll send you where you can learn the art from experts. Let me have his gun, Linda. And then you can call the police.
All right.
The police? But you can't.
Can't we?
You promised. If I paid you...
I didn't promise a thing, Stanton. That was Briggs.
What?
Besides, there's more than just a swindle to settle. Let's not overlook the murder.
Quite right, sir. You put the police onto me, you'll have to face them for the murder charge.
I wouldn't try to pin the murder on me, Stanton. You see, I could point out that Briggs was blackmailing you in my name. You found out about it, and...
Are you trying to say that I killed Briggs?
It's as good a story as that I did.
Why, you have no proof, Templar.
We'll see. I came here this morning at your invitation. Briggs was terrified. He didn't know you and I had met before. He thought if I talked to you, you'd find out I wasn't the one who was blackmailing you. It might give Briggs his game away, so he knocked me out to keep me from meeting you.
That still doesn't prove anything.
Ah, yes, proof. The proof of the pudding is in the eating, and you can't eat your proof and have it, too.
What on earth does that mean?
Nothing at all. Go on, Linda, call the police.
Yes, Simon.
Templar!
Shh, please, the lady is phoning.
Hello, operator? I want the police, please. Hello, police? Can you send a car to the Stanton Real Estate Company? 8th and Hudson Street. We have a swindler and a murderer, that's right. Yes, that's right, 8th and Hudson. Goodbye.
Templar, you're making a big mistake.
I know, but I wanted to give Linda a chance to complete the call, Stanton. Naturally, she wouldn't have if I'd said she is the one who killed Briggs.
What?
Linda, it looks like we never will get that chance to sit in the dark together.
This is absurd. Why would I want to kill Briggs?
Because you were in on his scheme with him, and you were afraid if he were caught at it and talked, he'd implicate you. So you killed him while I was unconscious.
Why,
You're crazy is the usual line at this point.
Well, you are. I had nothing to do with Briggs.
Yet when I came here and asked to see Stanton, you left your desk and went in to get Briggs instead of talking to him on the intercom.
Well,
You wanted to talk to him behind my back in case he wanted to cook up a story.
No.
Then why didn't you use the intercom? It's connected with his office and it works. I checked.
So that's what you were looking for. You think you're so clever. Well, you can just...
Linda, careful. Remember, I'm a saint.
Taxi. You don't want a taxi, Mr. Templar. I got a car here.
No, Augie, not again.
What's the matter, Mr. Templar? Don't you like my company?
It's not that, Augie, but I'm warning you, if you keep driving a hot car around town, some nice policeman is going to speak harshly to you and pull you in.
Mr. Templar.
Yes, Augie?
To tell you the truth, it ain't a hot car.
Not even slightly warm?
Nope. I bought it. Paid cash. But... I wouldn't like it to go no further.
Oh, I understand, Augie. Don't worry. I won't say a word. I realize what it would do to your reputation.
You have been listening to another adventure of The Saint, the Robin Hood of modern crime. And now, here is our star, Vincent Price.
This year, the Forest Service of the United States Department of Agriculture prevails on the vacationing and motoring public to exercise extreme care with fire while living, working, or visiting in or near forest and woodland areas. Remember, friends, it only takes a moment's carelessness or thoughtlessness to set fire loose in the forest. So let's all be careful. This is Vincent Price inviting you to join us again next week at this same time for another exciting adventure of the Saint. Good night.
Tonight's script of The Saint was written by Jerome Epstein. Our cast tonight included Francis Robinson, Arthur Q. Bryan, Ted Von Eltz, and Donald Woods. The music was composed and conducted by Vaughn Dexter. The Saint, transcribed based on characters created by Leslie Charteris, is a James L. Safier production and is directed by Helen Mack. Vincent Price can now be seen in the Universal International picture Curtain Call at Cactus Creek. And all you Saint fans will be glad to know that the Saint comic books are on sale at all newsstands. Your announcer is Don Stanley. Night Beat and Top Secret, two suspense-filled, action-packed shows, come to you tomorrow night on NBC. Make a date. Hear Top Secret with Lona Massey as a counter-espionage agent, and Night Beat, the story of Chicago after dark. Both top shows tomorrow night on NBC. Next, it's Sam Spade, then Summer Symphony with Benny Goodman on NBC.
Never borrow money needlessly, just when you must. Borrow them where loans are a specialty from folks you trust. Borrow confidently from HFC.
Household Finance Corporation offices are listed in your telephone book.
Keep it tuned right here to HOJO Radio for more classic old-time radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Granite Furniture Company, with stores in Sugar House, Murray, and Provo, presents The Hall of Fantasy. Welcome to the Hall of Fantasy. Welcome to the series of radio dramas dedicated to the supernatural, the unusual, and the unknown. Come with me, my friends. We shall ascend to the world of the unknown and forbidden, down to the depths where the veil of time is lifted and the supernatural reigns as king. Come with me and listen to the tale of Markheim. The Granite Furniture Company brings you the Hall of Fantasy. Listen now to original tales of the imagination and some of the classics of the supernatural as we take you down the corridors of the Hall of Fantasy to the mysterious realms of the unknown. These are stories of eerie and fantastic thrills brought to you by your friends at the Granite Furniture Stores. And now for tonight's story, an adaptation of Robert Louis Stevenson's Markheim. They said that Markheim's first great crime was that he had committed murder. That's hardly true, for no man can kill his fellow until he first twists the knife in his own heart. This is the story of Markheim. He was a gambler accustomed to lightning shifts of fortune, but on the eve of his greatest triumph, he couldn't resist that final spin of the wheel. It was his life against the future. He wanted the decision to come swiftly, as it had always done before. But this time, the wheel turned tortuously slow for Markheim, and once set into motion, no power on earth could halt it. It was Christmas Eve. Markheim was happy to be towed along on Angela's little leash. She loved him, or what she knew of him. Angela was quite aware of the power of her smile, and Markheim was aware of the fact that she'd been leisurely and charmingly spoiled. But even if it had been a great chain that had led him into this lovely garden, instead of a warm, sweet smile, he'd have resisted no more than he did now. For this leash would lead him to a fortune, more money than he'd ever dream existed in all the casinos in the world. Besides, he was in love with Angela.
Mark, when do you plan to speak to Papa?
Very soon, dearest. There are a few things I want to clear up first. It won't take long. Just a few days at the most.
Tomorrow, perhaps?
Tomorrow? Well, that's pretty short notice, darling. I'm afraid that
I want it tomorrow.
Yes, but why? What's so significant about tomorrow? I had thought to wait just a few more...
Tomorrow's just as good as any other day. In fact, it's better. It's Christmas. It's tomorrow or never.
Angela, what are you saying?
Oh, don't look so frightened, darling. I was only joking.
Better.
Only it will be tomorrow, Mark, won't it?
You always get your own way.
Always, darling. But I wouldn't have insisted if I didn't think it would make us both happy.
And you think we'll be happier if I ask your father tomorrow?
Of course. There's no need to wait, and I want this for a Christmas present.
Christmas present?
Yes. Oh, and speaking of Christmas presents, I have a very nice one for you.
Oh? Not too nice, I hope. I hope it wasn't too...
Costly? Oh, but it was very.
I wish you hadn't, Angela. That is... Well, I have something for you, too.
You have? What is it?
Well, you'll like it. Yes, it's very nice.
Now it's my turn. You shouldn't have done it.
Nothing is too good for you. Nothing.
I hope it isn't too expensive.
Well, it was. But it's just a little trinket.
Whatever it is, Mark, it'll be very nice. But if you weren't such a successful member of the stock exchange, I'd scold you for spending too much money on me.
Stock exchange? Oh, yes, quite. Well, Angela, I think I'd better be going.
So soon?
Yes, I really must.
Then I won't detain you. But I want you here early tomorrow. Come just as soon as you possibly can.
The iron rule of Angela. But I love it, darling.
Until tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
As Markheim made his way through the dark streets, the chill, damp fog soon dispersed the warmth he'd felt in the rich comfort of Angela. And the last word he'd spoken to her as he'd taken his leave seemed to mock him as he traveled in the night. His futile gropings for happiness seemed to slap him full in the face with each new wave of the gray night mist. For a moment he thought to return to his foul, dingy little room, barren and ugly though it was. The thought of it made him shudder. Any other time he might have found some comfort in his hateful little iron bed. Another night he could have slept and dreamed of fabulous fortune, of an endless flood of gambler's luck, making him richer with every spin of the wheel. But there was no time for that now. For tomorrow was... He cursed the inconvenience of this moment. Tomorrow was Christmas. Suddenly, as if some henchman of the devil had whispered into his ear, Markheim heard the name that had been synonymous with resentment in his heart. That name seemed to strike faint but unmistakable sounds in his brain. It was very faint at first, like the soft, tinkling snap of an icicle when it breaks. But it soon became a giant thing that loomed up so forcibly it was almost physical. It came without warning out of the thick fog of his brain, and Markheim suddenly found the name on his lips.
Ziegler.
What do you want? It's you, Markheim.
Let me in, Ziegler.
On Christmas Eve? Can't you see I'm closed?
Open up. I've got to see you right away.
All right. What kind of trouble are you in this time? Well, come on in. I don't want all that cold and damp creeping in. I've enough aches already.
Yes. Merry Christmas.
What's your errand?
You do a pretty good business here, don't you, Ziegler?
You didn't come to talk about my books. What did you come for? I told you the last time that I wouldn't take any more of your stolen goods.
I didn't come to sell anything, Ziegler. My uncle's cabinets are disgustingly empty these days. He's moved his collection.
I don't wonder at that. Your uncle is a remarkable collector. His items were rare indeed. It must have been quite a blow to him when he discovered that they were disappearing so methodically.
It was more of a blow to me, I assure you. He booted me clean out of the place.
I was taking an awful chance myself handling that stuff. An awful chance.
But at an awful profit, Ziegler.
What good's a profit when you once get the yard after you? Well, if you didn't come here to sell, what did you come for?
To buy. I want to buy a Christmas present for a lady.
You pay dearly coming in on me like this. You know I've put up my shutters and I'm refusing business.
You won't refuse my business, Ziegler.
You won't be getting any bargains either. You'll have to pay for both my time and your rather a surly manner, young fellow. I suppose you can pay?
Don't worry about that.
Then you can pay it someone's way.
I've done very well in the stock exchange. And, likely as not, I'll do much better soon. My errand today is very simple. I'm really quite sorry, Ziegler, that I have to disturb you this way, but it's a little matter I overlooked until this late hour. I must have this little compliment ready before morning. And, you know, a man would be a fool to deliberately harm his chances of a wealthy marriage.
Well, let that be it then. You're a good customer, and if you have a chance, you should tell me for a fortunate marriage. I don't want to be an obstacle. Now, here's a nice object. Your lady is certain to favor it. It's a hand mirror, guaranteed 15th century. It's from a fine collection.
Whose collection, Ziegler?
In the interest of my customer, I withhold the name, if you don't mind. He was, shall we say, somewhat like yourself, the nephew of a remarkable collector. The pointed remarks of this unscrupulous old dealer suddenly flushed Markheim's calm with waves of passionate resentment. They passed, leaving nothing but a slightly emotional residue and a slight nervous trembling in his hands. He took the mirror Ziegler held out to him.
Surely you do not propose this for a Christmas present?
Why not? Your lady should be very happy to have such a fine item. And every time she looks at herself in it, she'll think of her sterling husband.
Your manner is likely to cost you something before long, Ziegler. So you suggest a thing like this. Look at it. Look at yourself in it. Though I dare say you'd look little better any other way. But look at it.
Your future lady must be difficult to please, sir.
I am buying a lady's Christmas present, not some monstrous souvenir of the sins and follies of the past. Certainly not that grim thing. You weren't actually serious about pawning that off on me, were you?
Quite serious, sir.
What are you made of, Ziegler? What keeps your dry old heart at work these overtime years? You certainly must have a few thoughts now and then of something beside your miserable little existence.
Are you joking with me, Markheim? You'll find it on the sale price if you are.
Everything about you can be found on the sale price, Ziegler.
Come, what's the purpose of this talk?
Christmas Eve, man. See how the world scurries by outside? They're all touched with a very warm, friendly spirit. What does your life consist of tonight but a hand for grabbing money and a safe for hoarding it? Is that all?
You've drunk too much to the health of your lady, I think.
Then you have been in love. Tell me of those golden moments of yours, Ziegler. Tell me all about them.
I have no time for such things. I have no time for this foolishness either. Do you take the glass or not?
Yeah, but let's not be hasty. A pleasant talk, a pleasant walk, how does that go? Well, pleasant it is, Ziegler, and I must not hurry away from any pleasure, even one as doubtful as this. Each instant is a precipice, Ziegler, a very high precipice. If we hurry, we fall and dash ourselves to 1,000 meaningless pieces. Yes, if we hurry, we fall, Ziegler. Let's take our time this fine evening. Let us tear away the masks that hide us from each other. Who knows? We might even be friends.
I have my books to balance tonight, Markheim. Either make your purchase, or I have to thank you to leave the shop.
To be sure. There is no time for being friends, is there? Show me something else, then. Show me something else, Ziegler.
There was something in Markheim's voice just then. It couldn't have been the words themselves. It was a tone or a light that flashed in his eye. But it filled the little dealer with an unexplainable terror. He'd turned and was about to climb the small ladder that would take him to a little object art in a higher shelf, when suddenly Markheim poised a little dagger high in the air. It flashed only a fraction of a lightning bolt.
This for you, Ziegler, and a very Merry Christmas.
Ziegler thrashed at the shelves like a chicken. Then he fell to the floor, and flesh seemed to telescope into flesh as he settled into a senseless little pile. Markheim stared at it through eyes that had suddenly seen too much. A single tick of the old clock seemed almost to buffet him into unconsciousness. His lips parted to speak.
Must not hurry. Each instant, a precipice. Yes. Ziegler! Stand up! Stand up and speak to me!
You are listening to a radio adaptation by Bob Olson of Markheim by Robert Louis Stevenson on tonight's journey down the corridors of the Hall of Fantasy. Brought to you by your friends at the Granite Furniture Company with stores in Sugar House, Murray, and Provo. And now back to tonight's story of Markheim. Markheim the gambler wagered his life and became Markheim the murderer In one swift blow, he'd cut himself away from any part of the world he'd known. That's why no one can tell his story now but Markheim himself.
I stood there, my hand still clinging loosely to the dagger. That hand that seemed to have no relationship to the rest of my body. I looked about me. The candle on the counter caught a chill draft and was wagging like the tail of an excited puppy. I steadied myself, for the room was heaving and tossing like a schooner in a storm. Hundreds of feet away, it seemed, the door was slightly ajar. Through this opening, a long, slim finger of light pointed accusingly at the very spot I stood. I leaped aside. A shiver of fright shocked through me as I realized the stupidity of the motion. I looked at the body of Ziegler. It lay there like a listless sack of sawdust. As suddenly as had the fright, a wave of calm came over me. I looked again at the body. It was nothing. Yes, there was nothing there to be afraid of. A hunk of lifeless something that had once been a man. The clock ticked on, but no longer affected the day of this thing on the floor. Yes, it was nothing. It had suddenly lost meaning to Ziegler, to the shop, to everyone but me. But that security didn't last. I looked again, saw the deep color forming about this haggard heap. That blood. It was still alive. What if it found a voice? What if this flesh should raise a cry that could be heard all over England and thence... Where? And it would take up its endless flight around the earth. It would never be still again. Never. Time. I must have time. Oh, but time had such a raucous voice. Yes, what is time? A new precipice each instant. Each tick of the clock was a new danger. I picked up the candle, started about the room, filling my pockets with the treasures of art that Ziegler had gained so craftily and guarded so fiendishly. I saw things that terrified me. Things that turned out to be my own shadow. I'd catch a reflection of myself in a rack of mirrors, rich imported glasses that sent a new fear to wilt my nerves. For each time I looked, I saw a hostile sea of my own eyes spying on me. 1,000 questions flashed across my world of hysteria. Why had I used a knife? Why hadn't I chosen a more quiet hour? Why had I killed him at all? And then there were more. Where was the servant girl now? When would she be back? How much time did I have? Yes, how much time? When would the world know of what I had done? When would Angela know? Oh, you fool. My brain became a racetrack for nightmares. There seemed to be something terrifying about the normal as ever rhythm of the footsteps out in the street. They must know about the thundering riot in this house. How could they help it? I began to fear nature herself. I expected her to break her own laws to accomplish my own personal destruction. Yes, what if the walls should suddenly fail to hide me? If the prying eyes of London should gain the power to see beyond nature's barriers? Then another vision came to me in this room that was pulsating so with clamor and silence alike. Yes, all the old women of London started to rock feverishly in their chairs and began to weave a rope with which I was soon to be hung. I knew I was tottering on the brink of the final shock that would send me screaming my guilt to the world if I didn't take hold of myself. But one thing I was rapturously grateful for. I was alone. I was alone. No.
Ziegler, open up. Answer your door, Ziegler.
Thank heavens. He's gone. Time. Yes, I must have time. Others will come. The girl. I must get the money. No time to waste. I walked over to the body, shoved it with my foot. It rolled over crazily and took on a queer, twisted posture. The face was pale like wax. I remembered the wax museum I'd seen as a lad. and that memory robbed the scene of its grotesque quality. I took new courage. I saw myself as a boy. Here's how horrified I'd been at those realistic reproductions of famous murders. Even the music came back to me, the monotonous chant of the calliope. The time came for me to act or run, but I didn't run. I grabbed the keys from Ziegler's coat pocket and started up the stairs that led to his private apartment. There were 24 steps and 24 separate torches that led to the drawing room where I knew I'd find the safe. As I walked, I seemed to hear the echo of another footstep coming from behind me. Now I was at the top. I pulled open the door, entered, and bolted it behind me. The sense that I was not alone in this house was about to drive me mad. I longed to be in my shoddy little room, away from the eyes that were constantly dancing about in this house. Every man who walked became an avenger and sought stealthily for some scrap of evidence that would curse me forever. I thought of Angela, not long, just the length of a breath or so, but I heard her voice in hollow mockery.
Tomorrow or never, Ma. Tomorrow or never.
Yes. She said she was only joking. She thought she was only joking. I was before the safe. The finale of this little drama. I fumbled with the keys. There must have been 50 in all. And again, the rush of time began to make me tremble with uncontrollable anxiety. Time. If I ran out of time, this nightmare could have no meaning at all. I shot a glance at the door. Nothing stirred. Yes, I was satisfied that I must be alone. It was quiet here. Even my heart began to slow down a little. Suddenly, another sound broke the stillness. It came from the nearby church. The organ was playing a familiar hymn. I listened. Then I heard it. A sound to freeze a scream in its making. The knob on the door was turning. Someone was going to enter this room. I was caught in a vice of terror. Slowly the door opened. And there was a face without a body staring at me. Who are you?
Did you call me?
I stared. I could do nothing else. The face seemed to swim before me. It seemed a familiar face. No, it wasn't familiar either. Oh, what was that face? It belonged to neither heaven or earth. What do you want of me?
I came to see you.
See me? How did you know that I was here?
You told me.
I told you?
Not directly, perhaps.
Then you really do know me?
Right down to the soul.
Are you the devil?
Does it matter?
Oh, yes, but you knew me some time ago. Yes, thank heaven you don't know about the
murder. Oh, but I do. I came to warn you that the servant girl has left her sweetheart early tonight and is on her way home now.
Now?
Yes. Shall I tell you what she brings with her for your Christmas?
What?
The gallows. Now you must hurry. Shall I tell you where to find the money?
For what price?
It's a Christmas gift.
What are you going to do with me? You know that I'm really not evil. I had no heart for these things.
Yours will probably be a deathbed repentance. I have no concern with that. I'm interested in you only as long as you are alive.
But why do you do this at all? Can't you see that my hands are red? Don't you realize that I've murdered the little dealer?
Yes.
Then why do you stop with me?
Because your name is Markheim.
Yes. My name is Markheim. You know that I'm made up of evil and of good. You'll see that they don't destroy the good to avenge the evil. You will help me, won't you?
This money you're about to take, how will you use it?
On the stock exchange.
But that's where you've already lost thousands.
Yes, but this time I have a sure thing.
You will lose again, Markheim.
You know?
I do.
But I'll save out half.
You will lose that, too.
Oh, if that happens, if I do lose again, what next? Yes, I'll start over with Angela.
You have lived for 36 years, Markheim. 15 years ago, you would have shuddered at the thought of stealing. 3 years ago, the name of murder would have made you ill. Who knows, Markheim, what you might embrace in the next 5 years?
But I still have good in me.
Tell me, have you grown any better at all in the past few years?
I can remember when I was a boy. Yes. I still love the things that I loved then.
But are you better than you were then?
No.
And you still want me to help you get the money. Remember 3 years ago, Markheim? Weren't you seen in a little chapel?
Yes, I was there. I meant to go back.
And didn't you raise your voice louder than the others in the hymn?
Yes, but... Where are you going?
We part company here. Time has run out. That's the maid, you see.
The maid. What shall I do?
Why not do what you did with the dealer? Here's your last great danger. One more swift blow, and you can finish at your leisure.
Don't go. Don't leave me. He's gone. My last great danger. Yes. There is nothing left to do but... I took the little dagger from my coat pocket and crept down the stairs. 24 steps to... where?
Tomorrow or never, Ma. Tomorrow or never.
I can do it quickly. I'll tell her old Ziegler is ill. Yes, now don't crack a smile, Markheim. Whatever you do, don't overact. But curse the thing that made me lose all this precious time with talk. Yes, too late now, though. Much too late.
Too late. There's no more time for you, Markheim.
You again. Who are you, anyway?
The door, Markheim. Here's your chance. Open the door.
First, tell me who you are.
Don't you know? Don't you know, really?
No, I don't.
My name is Markheim.
No. Then you're...
The door, Markheim. Answer the door.
Hello. Is Mr. Ziegler in?
Are you the maid?
Yes.
Then you'd better go for the police. I've just murdered your master.
So runs the tale of Markheim. Remember to join us next week at a new time for another journey down the corridors of the Hall of Fantasy.
Tonight's program was adapted by Robert Olson from the story by Robert Louis Stevenson. Heard tonight were Carl Grayson as Markheim, Richard Harcourt as the narrator, Beth Calder as Angela, and Richard Thorne as Ziegler. Musical background was provided by Earl Donaldson. The engineer was Nephi Sorensen. These programs are produced and directed by Richard Thorne.
In the month just ahead, there will be many days that are cloudy and gray. Isn't it very important on such days to have your home bright and cheerful? Your kitchen especially, where you spend so many hours? There's one thing that will brighten your kitchen more than anything else. Gleaming linoleum floors kept fresh and spotless with Johnson's self-polishing Glow Coat. Glow Coat requires no rubbing or buffing. There's practically no work to it. You just apply Glow Coat, it shines while it dries with no further work from you. It not only keeps your floors beautiful, but it actually makes linoleum last many times longer than an unprotected floor. Glow Coat is safe, easy to use, and sure to please. Try some tomorrow on your floors. Ask for Johnson's self-polishing Glow Coat, GLO-COAT.
Stay tuned to HOJO Radio.
From Hollywood, the NBC Theater presents... Screen Directors Guild assignment. Production, Hired Wife. Director, William Seiter. Star, Rosalind Russell. This is the Screen Directors Guild presentation of Life as It Is Lived by a Private Secretary. The comedy Hired Wife, starring Rosalind Russell, and introducing the director of the film, William Seiter. Tonight, it is the privilege of the NBC Theater to introduce a man whose profession is the relentless pursuit of that titillating will-o'-the-wisp known as motion picture comedy. The hunt has been a remarkably successful one, for as a screen director, he has employed his unusual abilities to create some 175 films, most of them designed for laughter. You've seen his director's credit on such pictures as Roberta, Up in Central Park, The Affairs of Susan, One Touch of Venus, and tonight's story, Hired Wife. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. William Seiter.
Thank you. About 25 years ago, when I was working as an actor in a motion picture comedy, my director became ill. Somehow the word got around, let Seiter finish the film. That's where they made their first big mistake. They've never gotten me out of the director's chair since. Why? It's simple. I like making comedies. I like making people laugh. What do they laugh at? Well, maybe after another 25 years of directing, I'll know for sure. But for now, all I can do is guess. For instance, I took a guess on a story, Hired Wife, and a character named Kendall Browning, a private secretary. Rosalind Russell seemed to be a natural for the part. Kendall Browning was employed in New York by Stephen Dexter of the Stephen Dexter Cement Company. With her horn-rimmed glasses and poised pencil, she was efficiency personified. Her boss was sublimely unaware that his perfect secretary was also a beautiful woman. And, of course, Kendall was in love with him. But every spring, she watched him go off in a romantic toot, come home with his heart in a sling. So one April, when Stephen had fallen into the clutches of a man-eating blonde named Phyllis Walden, Kendall decided to take matters into her own hands. What happened to that is one of the reasons I like making comedy.
Oh, Kendall.
Yes, Mr. Dexter?
Phyllis Walden, the model, will be dropping in to discuss an advertising contract.
Yes, Mr. Dexter.
Please show her in as soon as she arrives.
Very well, Mr. Dexter. Phyllis Walden. Miss Cement Bag of 1949. I've got a good mind to toss her out on her shell pink ear. Yes?
Phyllis Walden is here to see Mr. Dexter.
Tell her that Mr. Dexter will see her right... Oh, no. No. Send her in to see me. I'm probably going to hate myself for this in the morning.
You're Stephen's secretary?
Yes. I'm Kendall Browning, Stephen's private secretary.
I'm Phyllis Walden.
Miss Walden, I've some bad news for you.
Oh?
Mr. Dexter was going to put you on his cement bag.
What?
As a model, I mean, for advertising.
Go on.
Well, the deal is off. Mr. Dexter changed his mind about it just before he left for Chicago.
Chicago? Oh, what did he say?
Well, if you really want to know, he said, tell Miss Goofy Pan she can't peddle her kisser to Steve Dexter.
What?
Yeah, that's right.
Kendall, is Miss Walden here? Why, Phyllis, darling, come in.
Well, Stephen, my, but that was a fast trip to Chicago.
Chicago? What are you talking about?
No, don't get excited, Stephen. When you finish with Miss Miss Walden, I'll explain.
I still can't understand what made you say those things to Phyllis Walden. She was so upset I had to take her home.
Phooey.
What?
I said phooey.
Now, that's a fine attitude.
It was for your own good. Every spring, your young man's fancy lightly turns to thoughts of man-traps. 2 years ago, it was that Hoboken redhead. Last year, it was
Never mind. Phyllis is a lady.
Huh.
Kendall, you're my right hand. I can't run this business without you. But stay out of my private life.
All right. I'm tired of doubling as a nurse for a juvenile delinquent anyway.
Kiddies, end of round one.
Come in, Roger.
Either of you want a good lawyer?
My secretary here objects to a young lady of my acquaintance.
The great love of his life. He saw a picture in an advertisement for a new model automobile and went all gooey.
Yes, I did.
He was fascinated by the automatic rumble seat.
If you kiddies really want to fight, save it for the board meeting at the General Cement Company.
Oh, that's right, Stephen. We're due there in half an hour.
Those cutthroats are sore at you, boy. They'll pull every legal trip in the book to get you out of business.
Get your notebook, Kendall.
Right away.
Come on, Raj, and sharpen that keen legal mind. We're going to need it.
Dexter, We offered to buy your company at a fair price.
The price wasn't fair, Mr. Hudson, and you know it.
We gave you a chance to come in with us, but you chose to fight.
That's right, Latimer, and I'll keep right on fighting.
But not for long. We're bringing an injunction against you the first thing in the morning. Dexter will tie up every penny you own.
It's a technicality,
It's unfair.
Well, of course it's unfair, but it's legal, and there's nothing you can do. Right, Hudson?
Right.
Oh, Stephen.
Well, take a good look at the office. The Stephen Dexter Cement Company is on the way out.
We'd better take home a few sacks. I hear they make good tents.
Please now, Roger. Isn't there something we can do?
No, they'll tie up every cent in your name. Too bad you aren't married. That's it. Stephen, you've got to get married.
What?
You mean him? Married?
Sure. I'll put every last penny, every sack of cement, even your house, in your wife's name.
Oh, there must be some other way.
It'll just be a formality. After a few weeks, you can get a divorce.
Stephen, it's a wonderful idea. All you have to do is find a girl you can trust. Someone who understands your problem. Someone close to you.
Kendall, you're right. And you know who she is.
Oh, Stephen.
Come on. You'll have to be married tonight. You can't do that in New York, so you'll have to fly to Charleston.
Oh, I'll have to go home and change my clothes.
Why?
For the trip.
Why do you have to go?
Stephen, who are you going to marry?
Well, who do you think? Phyllis Walden. What? Now let's get busy. I'll make a list of all my property. Roger, draw up papers transferring everything to my wife. Miss Howard?
Yes, sir.
Get 2 reservations of the next plane for Charleston. And Kendall, go ask Phyllis Walden to marry me.
What?
I'd ask her myself, but I haven't got time.
Oh, what do you want me to do? Drag her here by the hair of her phony eyelashes?
Please, Kendall, I need your help.
You don't need me. You need Dorothy Dix.
Well, you know how to talk to another woman, Kendall. You can explain.
Yeah, sure. Yes, I certainly will.
Oh, it's you. Goodbye.
Oh, wait a minute. Mr. Dexter sent me.
Well, come on in. I'm dying to hear what you have to say. Your lies are so corny, they're fascinating.
This one will knock you out. Mr. Dexter wants you to marry him tonight.
He does? Well, I hardly know what to say.
Well, you might try a simple yes or no. Now, look, Walden. I'm not batting for Cupid. This is strictly business.
Whose business?
Yours. This can put you within spending distance of a very serious sum of sugar.
Go on, I'm listening.
Stephen will be waiting at the airport at 5 o'clock.
Flying to Chicago again, I suppose?
No, Charleston.
How nice. I've never been married in Charleston. You must think I'm an awful dope, really, Browning.
Well, I'm just telling you.
Yes, wouldn't it be nice for you to go back to Stephen and say, that Walden number has a price tag, but I'm not that kind of a girl.
Well, Stephen just told me to ask you.
Tell him I'd love to marry him tonight, but my trousseau is in the laundry.
All washed up, eh? Well, little Kendall has done her duty. I'll tell him, Walden. Brother, will I tell him?
Roger, our plane leaves in 5 minutes. I wonder what's keeping Phyllis.
Will you stop having pups? You know you can count on Kendall.
Steve!
There's Kendall, but Phyllis isn't with her.
Steve, Phyllis said no.
You mean she won't marry me?
Well, now you can't blame her. No woman wants to get married just for a favor.
Well, it was a nice business while I had it.
You haven't lost it, Steve. All you have to do is marry somebody.
Yes, but who?
Well, don't look at me. I can't cook.
Now, look, Steve, look. You've got to get married tonight. It doesn't matter who, as long as she's a girl you can trust.
Steve, don't you know a wife when you see one?
Kendall? Well, maybe she's busy tonight.
Well, I really had planned to read another chapter of Little Women.
Wait a minute.
Now departing gate 5. Mr. Dexter.
Kendall, what do you say? Marry me until this trouble blows over?
Oh, and this is the romantic moment I've always dreamed about. Come on, husband, let's go.
Happy landings. I'll be waiting at your house when you get back. well. The bride and groom return. Welcome.
Hello, Roger.
Here we are.
I couldn't find the rice, so I got out a box of cornflakes to throw at you.
Well, go ahead and throw them.
I can't. I ate them while I was waiting.
Did you bring those papers with you?
Yes, right here.
Where do I sign?
On this line.
That does it.
Congratulations, Stevie boy. You're now a pauper. I'll have the transaction recorded. If there's anything you need, Stephen, just ask your wife. Good night.
Fine friend he is. He didn't even stay to drink a toast to the bride.
Never mind. I'll drink it for him. Then you better run along.
Oh. Well, I am pretty tired.
You're a real friend, Kendall. And thank you for marrying me.
You're welcome, I'm sure. Oh, Stephen, let's not kid about it. I know it's just a business arrangement, but it is marriage. I'm glad I didn't know it was going to be like this.
Kendall.
Yes, Stephen?
Right now, I'm rather glad I married you.
Oh, no, Stephen, don't.
You're my wife.
Not because you wanted me. I'm a substitute for Phyllis Walden. Phyllis Walden would be Mrs. Dexter tonight if I hadn't made her refuse your bid.
My bid?
Yes, the way I put it. I knew she'd turn me down. No woman likes to admit that she's up for sale, even if she is.
You mean you made Phyllis believe I thought I could buy her? Well, you double-crossing little...
Stephen, remember, you're a Harvard man.
Stop acting so confounded married.
We are, you know.
Don't take advantage of a technicality. And go home.
Why, Stephen, where am I?
Will you please get out of my house?
Your house?
All right. If it's a fight you want, you'll get one.
Stephen, you're in no position to fight.
Are you going?
Yes, but I'll be back. And in the meantime, don't get any cigarette burns on my rug.
Kendall.
Yes, Stephen?
You're fired.
Yes, Stephen. Stephen?
What?
You're broke. Everything you own belongs to me, Mrs. Stephen Dexter. Good night.
Good morning, Miss Howard. How is my favorite receptionist?
Just a minute. Where are you going?
To my office.
You can't go in there. The boss is busy.
Boss?
Yes, Mrs. Dexter.
Well,
it's locked.
it can't be locked. She can't do this to me.
She did. If you want to see her, I suggest you call later and try to make an appointment.
Kendall. Kendall. I'll get in if it takes me all week. Kendall!
Well, Mr. Dexter, you back again?
How long can this go on? I've been here every day this week and she wouldn't see me. But this is Friday and I'm getting in.
Mr. Dexter, what are you hiding behind your back?
This!
Mr. Dexter, put down that axe.
Stand aside.
Oh, but there's something you ought to know.
Out of my way. There.
Mr. Dexter, I tried to tell you, your wife's out to lunch.
Oh. Did she leave any message?
Yes. She said you were to have all the money in the petty cash box for meals.
Food at last. How much is there?
1 dime, 3 Lincoln pennies, and a 2-cent stamp.
You are listening to the Screen Directors Guild production of Hired Wives, starring Rosalind Russell, with Carlton Young as Stephen, and introducing the director of the film, William Seiter.
Mrs. Stephen Dexter, Cement Company.
Mrs.?
She changed the name.
Oh, is Mr. Dexter there?
Yes, he's been in the outer office all day.
What's he doing out there?
No desk.
Oh. Oh, well, let me talk to him.
It's Roger Van Horn.
Roger, a fine lawyer you are. You got me into this mess, and now I never see you.
Don't complain. I saved your business, didn't I?
Ha, save my business. I haven't got a business. I haven't got an office. I don't even have a desk.
Something wrong?
It's Kendall. She's thrown me out.
Your own wife?
My own sweet, darling wife.
Well, maybe you don't treat her the way a wife ought to be treated.
I've tried, but I can't get close enough to kick her.
That's not what I meant. Have you tried being affectionate?
Affectionate? With that water cooler?
Try it. She just wants a little romantic attention. You go in there and I'll be right over.
All right, I'll try it. I'll walk in there and say, Kendall, I want to talk to you. Kendall, I want to talk to you.
Very well, Stephen.
I can't go on any longer. How can I see you like this every day? Cold, detached, unemotional.
But isn't that the way you wanted it?
Yes, at first. But now I know you're more than a secretary. You're a woman.
What are you driving at?
You're a desirable woman. You shouldn't be scorned. You should be loved. Kissed.
Stephen, what's happened to you?
Kissed like this.
Oh, darling.
Stephen, I just dropped by to... Oh, kissing your secretary. How nice.
Phyllis.
Oh, hello. What's new in the woodwork?
Stephen, I'd like to talk to you alone when you're quite through kissing your secretary.
I am not his secretary. I'm his wife.
Is this true, Stephen?
Yes, Phyllis, but it's you I love. Will you marry me?
Oh, nice talk from a bridegroom.
I swear my wife means nothing to me.
You traitor.
She's just a business arrangement.
There goes your allowance.
I'm not going to live with her.
You're not going to live, period.
I won't even talk to her.
All I want to hear from you is a death rattle.
It was you I wanted, Phyllis, right from the start.
Well, you can start right now and take her with you.
Ha! I wouldn't have him if you served him on a silver platter with an apple in his mouth.
Well, what are you waiting for? Here's a nickel for the apple. Now beat it.
What was that just whizzed by?
Out of the way, Roger. Mr. Stephen Dexter is on his way out.
Oh, no, he isn't. I've got a surprise for you kids.
Nothing could surprise me now.
Oh, yeah? Well, try this on for size. Someone tipped Latimer of General Cement that your marriage isn't bona fide.
It isn't. It's an optical illusion.
If they can prove that, we're sunk. They're bound to check up on you. Kendall, go home and start packing.
Good. Ship her away.
Away nothing. I'm shipping her to your house.
My house? My house?
Naturally, your house, your house. Would I move into Roger's house, Roger's house? Well, I won't do it now. That's asking too much.
Oh, I don't know. Most newlyweds put up with it.
But think of the position it puts me in.
Yes, naturally. We Dexters prefer death to dishonor. Well, what about me? What'll I tell my husband? Not you, the next one I'm going to marry.
No.
Very well, prudes. I'll see you in bankruptcy court. Now, look, if you're going to be scaredy cats, invite some respectable relative or friend to stay in the house and referee.
That's an idea. Roger.
Oh, no. Now, wait a minute. You can't do this to me. No.
Oh, for Pete's sake. Roger. Roger! Can't you stop that snoring? This is my home. Why do I have to sleep in the guest room with you?
Because Kendall's in your room.
What?
Oh. And I'm your chaperone.
Roger. Please. Please, Roger.
Stephen, answer the phone.
You answer. It's your house.
Don't be calling me at your number.
Oh, all right. Hello?
Hello, Dexter.
Yes, who's this?
Let me speak to Mrs. Dexter.
Who?
That woman you're supposed to be married to.
Oh, her. Wait a minute. It's Latimer.
Oh. Hello?
Mrs. Dexter?
Yes, Mrs. Stephen Dexter.
This is Latimer of General Cement.
Oh, yes, Mr. Latimer. How nice of you to call. What can we do for you?
Well, frankly, Mrs. Dexter, we doubted that you and your husband were really living together, but since you are, let me congratulate you.
Thank you.
Let me talk to Mr. Dexter.
Yeah.
Hello, Latimer.
You beat our injunction, and we're ready to make a deal.
Fine. I'll call you tomorrow. Good night. Well, what do you know? They're licked. Finished.
Oh, Stephen, that's wonderful. I'm so glad.
So am I. Now I can get a divorce. If you hurry and pack, you've just got time to make the 2 o'clock plane for Reno.
I am not going to Reno.
That's a good girl. What do you mean you're not going to Reno?
I've suddenly decided I like being Mrs. Stephen Dexter, that's all.
But I want a divorce.
Well, whistle for it.
Oh, my toe! You slammed the door on my toe!
What are you doing out of bed?
Oh, Latimer called.
Checking up, eh?
Yes, we're making a deal.
Oh, we beat him.
Now I want a divorce.
Would you mind waiting until morning?
How long will it take?
Is Kendall willing?
No, she isn't.
If she fights...
And she will.
It'll take years.
How many?
5.
Good.
Your best bet is to disappear and be given up for dead. Of course, that's just a curbstone opinion. Now come to bed, Stephen.
See? You're stuck with me.
So, you like being Mrs. Stephen Dexter, hmm?
Well, I thought I did.
Come here, Mrs. Dexter.
Stephen, don't you dare touch me.
I'm going to shower you with all the kisses a wife deserves.
Stephen! Steve! Oh, don't!
I wish you'd make up your mind.
How can I get rid of this woman?
Well, not that way, old boy. There is a way, though, an annulment.
How soon can I get one?
A few weeks. We'll just have to show it's been no marriage.
Well, you can testify to that.
I'll start proceedings tomorrow.
Well, Kendall, that closes the book.
Yeah, I guess it does. I'm going home, Stephen.
Good. Then I'll get a good night's sleep in my own room. What about your things?
I'll call for them in the morning. Stephen.
Yes?
It has been kind of fun, hasn't it?
Fun? Yes, I guess it has at that. I'll call cab for you.
All right, Stephen.
Good morning, Roger. Lovely morning for an annulment.
Yeah, only there won't be any annulment.
And what is that remark supposed to indicate?
You can't expect me, an attorney, to testify that you slept in your own bed last night.
But I did, in my own room. Kendall went home.
She did?
She did. Oh, that's probably her now. Come to pick up her clothes.
Good morning, Stephen.
Morning, Kendall. I was just talking to Roger here. Can you beat it? He refuses to testify in our annulment because he thought you were in my room last night.
He did?
Yes.
Oh, he did? Well, isn't that a scream? He still doesn't know for sure, does he?
Oh, you wouldn't dare.
Oh.
This is blackmail.
So, Kendall, where were you last night?
Go on, tell him. You went home and stayed there.
I went home and stayed there.
That does it. A barefaced lie, if ever I heard one. My best friend stabbing me in the back.
Leave your back out of this. Oh, there's the door again. Phyllis.
Stephen, dear, I just couldn't wait to come over and straighten out our misunderstanding. Oh, what's she doing here?
Having breakfast with my husband.
Phyllis, darling, I can explain. You see, Kendall was sleeping in my room, and I couldn't sleep with Roger because he snored.
Oh, it's all right, Stephen. Don't bother to explain. You win, Walden. He wants you. I quit. And for your information, Roger, I did spend the night at my apartment.
Well, that's that.
Will, somebody pass the sugar?
Oh, shut up.
Well, now what's the matter?
There goes the best secretary a man ever had.
Oh, there are lots of secretaries.
Not like Kendall's.
Stevie boy, are you sure you aren't in love with Kendall?
Roger, I've been deserted. My wife walked out on me.
Now, why in the world would she do a thing like that?
Oh, you big dope. You've been crazy about her all along.
Good Lord. I'm in love with her.
Well, go get her. What are you waiting for?
That's what I'm going to do right now. Kendall! Kendall!
Don't shout, dear. I'm right here behind the door.
Oh, darling. How could I ever let you go?
Really, Stephen, you never had a chance.
Kendall, will you marry me?
But we're already married.
Oh, yes. Well, let's go back and kick that chaperone out of our house.
Yes, darling. What do we need with a chaperone?
NBC Theater has presented the Screen Directors Guild production of Hired Wife, starring Rosalind Russell, with Carlton Young, and introducing the director of the film, William Seiter. Next week, as every week, the NBC Theater brings you another great film drama with its original team of director and star. The memorable Lloyd C. Douglas story, Magnificent Obsession, starring Irene Dunn, and introducing screen director John Stahl. And now, here again are tonight's stars, Rosalind Russell and Carlton Young, and screen director William Seiter.
Well, Bill, as a motion picture director, now what do you think of radio?
It'd be a great invention, except for one thing.
Yes? Well, what's that?
Microphones. I'm scared to death of them.
Listen to that, Carlton. He was an actor when they used to turn out a whole complete picture in 1 week, and he's afraid of microphones.
It's so simple, Bill. All you have to do is talk.
Okay, I'll try. Franz, let's talk about your last picture, The Velvet Touch. I thought
No,
probably...
Bill, no. If we're going to talk, I have something else to say. Often the public isn't quite aware of the immense part that you and the rest of all the directors play in motion picture making. You might be a little scared of the microphone there in the studio, but on the set, no one knows better than I what a fine showman you are, lending your talent and experience to actors and actresses and all the others concerned with the picture. Thanks, Bill. You are a great guy, handling one of the toughest jobs in films.
Well, after a compliment like that, Roz, not even a microphone scares me. Here, let me get closer to this thing. I'm going to start to talk.
Another thing about radio, Bill, it runs on schedule. There's only time to say one thing.
What's that?
Good night. Night, Roz.
Good night. Good night, Bill.
Good night, Roz.
And good night to you, Rosalind Russell, William Seiter, and Carlton Young. Also heard on tonight's program were Ed Begley, Joan Banks, Fred Shields, Herb Litton, Dan Riss, and Betty Moran. Script was by Richard Allen Simmons, and original music was composed and directed by Henry Russell. Production was under the supervision of Howard Wiley. Associate producer Bill Karn. Your announcer has been Frank Barton. Hired Wife was presented through the courtesy of Universal International Pictures, soon to release the new comedy hit, The Life of Riley, starring William Bendix as Riley. Rosalind Russell is currently starring in the independent artist production, The Velvet Touch, released by RKO. Listen again next week when the NBC Theater presents...
Screen Directors Guild assignment. Production, Magnificent Obsession. Director, John Stahl. Star, Irene Dunn.
The Screen Directors Guild program comes to you from Hollywood. This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
Hey, where do you live now, Flo?
I live in Idaho.
And what do you eat now, Flo?
Eat? I eat Jell-O.
Jell-O in those 6 delicious flavors. Strawberry, raspberry, cherry, orange, lemon, and lime.
Jell-O, 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 Jell-O. Jell-O.
Be sure to listen next week when our guest will be Bing Crosby. Until next Thursday, good night and good luck from the makers of Maxwell House, America's #1 preferred brand of coffee.
Keep it tuned right here to HOJO Radio for more classic old-time radio.
Mole, M-O-L-L-E. Mole, the brushless shaving cream with a special protective film that guards your face, presents the Mole Mystery Theater.
Tonight, Mole, the brushless shaving cream which puts face protection first, brings you another in the series of programs which puts mystery and excitement first. Each Tuesday night at this time, you hear one of the great mystery stories selected either from the famous classics or from the best of the moderns by Mr. Jeffrey Barnes. Mr. Barnes, having made a lifelong study of mystery fiction, is a connoisseur of fine detective stories. Mr. Barnes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Mole Mystery Theater. Tonight's story is unusual in many ways. First, it is an original mystery written especially for radio. Secondly, it is the work of a young man who has never before written a mystery story. The writer is Corporal Frederick Maytho. Corporal Maytho walked into my office one morning with a script under his arm. I promised him I would read his story. I did. And I got the shock of my life. Here was a first-time effort, and yet, in my opinion, it ranks with the very best in mystery literature. So it is with a great deal of pride that we now present for the first time anywhere a story written by Corporal Frederick Maytho and entitled The Comic Strip Murder. Now, friends, before our Mole Mystery Theater play begins, listen. Listen to the sound of a weapon fired at our men by the enemy, but aimed by someone here in America who talked too much. Yes, Americans, when someone here at home talks carelessly, it helps the enemy aim his bombs and guns and other weapons at our men. So don't you be that someone. If you know any war secret that has not been reported on the radio or in the newspapers, keep it a mystery and help keep our men alive. And now to our play, The Comic Strip Murder. Two people sit on a dimly lighted terrace of a New York penthouse apartment. One is the district attorney. The other a woman who looks tense and frightened.
It's 11:30. And my husband's going to murder me at midnight, Mr. Hanley.
Tonight? Mrs. Stetson?
You think being married to a comic strip artist has given me an overactive imagination? Well, I thought so, too, when I first went to see you, but not anymore. Look, Mr. Hanley, let me tell you the whole story. These past few weeks, Mark has been drawing Buzz O'Keefe with blood on his pen. My blood. You follow Buzz O'Keefe in the Morning Telegram, don't you, Mr. Hanley? Mm-hmm. Why, of course, everybody does. You've eaten up his lurid tale, one bloody episode after another. Well, I've lived with that comic strip for 9 years. It's been Buzz O'Keefe this and Buzz O'Keefe that until I could scream at the sight of a drawing board or a newspaper. Mr. Hanley, now I'm frightened. Very frightened. You see, Mark's murders are so messy. His fans love blood and pistol shots and poison and spiked doors and charred bones and acid.
Gee, Alice, look. Buzz O'Keefe's locked in the cellar and it's filling with ammonia gas. Uh-huh. And that model, Juliet, upstairs in the penthouse. Yeah. How's he ever going to save her? Him locked up like that.
Times Square? Okay, mister. Say, you read Buzz O'Keefe today? That guy's really in a jam. I think this Von Sewell's getting tired of that babe's double timing. He's going to kill her yet. Today... Skip it, will you? I read it.
Hiya, Bill. What'll it be? Toast and coffee?
Yeah, and the telegram.
Yeah. Why do you read Buzz O'Keefe this morning? I think this Von Sewell fella's going to murder that chick, Juliet. He's reading books on flesh-eating acid.
If he's going to use that stuff, it's goodbye, Juliet. She ain't going to keep that Cassie long.
Buzz will save her.
No, not this time.
Julius, I got
her. She ought to die.
Lots of guys want to kill her. Wouldn't fool around like that.
Buzz O'Keefe. Buzz.
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 Mr. Hanley, I am Juliet in the comic strip. The reason Mark's going to kill me is because of John Slater. See, Mark and John are partners in the O'Keefe strip. Golly, I remember the night Buzz O'Keefe was created 9 years ago. Mark and John hadn't seen each other since they graduated from college the year before. It was our first wedding anniversary, and we were at a small nightclub uptown.
Well, John, you old bat. It's about time you showed up.
That's right, John. We thought you'd never get here. You know, you've been promising to come east for a long time.
Took me that long to get over your saying yes to Mark and no to me, Julia. Making any progress in the commercial art field, Mark?
Well, this freelance business is all right in spots, John, but...
But we do all right, John.
Oh, I see. Like that, huh? Mark, why don't you get into a steady line in art? How about newspapers? Political cartoonists do well, or say, why don't you do a comic strip? Good money in it if it catches on.
Well, Mark's tried that. I guess they don't like his sense of humor.
Who said anything about humor? Comic strips aren't funny anymore. Get up a good blood chiller, an adventurer for a leading character. A detective, maybe. A guy who's always getting into tough spots and getting out of them again. Crime, the gorier, the better.
Well, it's an idea.
Look, Mark, do me something to show around. About a week's strips. The balance of the story and outline. I'll sell it for you, Mark. What do you think?
Well, why not? I think a detective would suit me best, though. Should have an Irish name. Let me see. Ryan O'Keefe. O'Keefe.
That's good.
Oh, look, how about calling him Buzz? You know, sort of a busy-sounding name. Buzz O'Keefe.
Buzz O'Keefe. Yes, Buzz O'Keefe would be swell. Waiter.
Yes, sir?
Bring us another round. We're going to drink to Buzz O'Keefe. Who? Never mind. You'll know him soon enough.
And that's how Buzz O'Keefe was born, Mr. Hanley. John Slater and my husband, Mark, became partners. John is a promotion man and business manager. Perfect success story, Not quite. There were lots of things we didn't figure on. See, Mark worked hard and late to meet newspaper deadlines. He never went anywhere. I worked hard with him, I guess. I modeled, read for him, did research work in crime. We thought that the strip would let us lead a normal life after we got it going. Well, it didn't work out. Then John Slater began taking me off. Oh, it was Mark's idea. He brought it up that afternoon. John dropped into the studio about 2 years ago to discuss it.
Hello, Drudges. What's buzzing today?
Drudge is right. I'm in a mess here. Another O'Keefe is. He's on the top of a building holding onto a high-tension wire, and Concrete Head Joe is cutting the wires, and
I'm rooting for Concrete Head Joe. How are you, John?
Swell, Julia. Just dropped in to tell you about the new 5-year contract I've got for us. How about celebrating?
Oh, I can't, John. Too much to do. But say, Julie's tired of working. Do her good to step out. Why don't you two celebrate?
Good hunch. How about it, Julia?
Well, the idea's pretty appealing if you really don't mind, Mark.
No, not at all. Run along and have some fun.
That should never have happened, Mr. Hanley. You see, I thought John Slater was over his crush on me, but I guess he wasn't. And I guess I realized, too, that I was sick of Buzz O'Keefe and what he had done to 9 years of my life. And that I was sick of Mark, too. Well, one night about 4 months ago, while we were at a cocktail party, Mark came out into the garden and he found me in John Slater's arms. There was no scene. Oh, not then. We didn't talk at all until later in the car on the way home. I knew Mark'd been drinking heavily, but he seemed sober to me. Finally, I couldn't stand his silence, and I said something I'd been meaning to say for a long time. Mark, I want you to divorce me.
Out of the question, Julie, darling. I need you near me for a while. It's more convenient. You see, I may want to kill you.
Mark!
Yes, Julie, kill you. Listen, what kind of a fool you take me for? Don't you think I know that Leech Slater is taking you away from me? I do all the work. He gets the same royalties I do. And now it's you he's taking. Or has taken.
Mark, you're drunk.
Not that drunk, darling. Not that drunk.
didn't close my eyes that night. I wanted to wake Mark, to hear him say something that would assure me that he hadn't said what I knew he'd said. Well, the next morning, Mark came down the studio in his robe, as he always did. He seemed quite normal.
Morning. Good morning. Wonderful day and all that. Good night's sleep. How about my morning cup of coffee, darling?
Mark, last night we...
Last night? Oh, last night. Yeah. Quite a ball we had, wasn't it, huh? I remember parts of it, like spilling the Manhattan all over Mrs. Drew or Droop or whatever her name was. And then there was...
And then there was the drive home.
Huh? Drive home? What about it? Oh, now, don't tell me I was speeding again. Great Scott, won't I ever learn?
Mark!
Yes, Julia?
Nothing. Here's your coffee.
Thanks. Now, you run along. Let me work. Oh, before you go, there's something you can tell me that will help. If you were a beautiful model named Juliet, you were going to be murdered, what would be the most horrible fate you could contemplate?
That was the beginning, Mr. Hanley. First, I thought he was really planning a murder for his cartoon detective to solve. And then... Well, one night we went to a reception a publisher gave for Jim Tull, the mystery novelist. While I was dancing, Mark and Tull sat down and began to talk. When I came back, they were sitting in an alcove, and they were deep in conversation. They didn't notice me as I stood close enough to hear them.
You mean to tell me you haven't yet figured out a way to murder your character, Juliet, Mark?
Well, I have some ideas, but none of them quite satisfy me, Jim. You see, there's so many ways to kill a beautiful woman. And the man who's going to do it hates her so. I thought you might have a suggestion.
Why murder her, then? She's so proud of her beauty, so arrogant. Well, wouldn't it be a more fitting revenge for your murderer to maim her, disfigure her?
I've considered that. And it is the best. But for my purpose, she must be killed. Maybe I can do both.
Why not? You've created a shallow, treacherous beauty. Your readers will relish seeing her beauty destroyed before she dies.
Jim, I think you've got something there. That's what I'll do. Or draw, rather. I think I can do both by using a bath of flesh-eating acid. I can just see the murderer as he watches. Julie, darling, are you all right? Well, what happened?
It was the next day that I first came to see you, Mr. Hanley. After I left you that day, I came back to the apartment to find Mark working feverishly at his table. I stood behind him as his long, slender fingers brushed in the sure line. Mark? Mark, why did you model your Juliet's apartment and her terrace after hours?
Why should I draw one from imagination when I have a perfectly good one out here? Makes it easier, that's all.
You're even putting in our fish pond.
Very observant of you, my dear. Yep, I've got good use for that little item.
Oh?
Have you noticed the size and shape of our fish pond?
Well,
No? Well, I measured it the other day. It's 5.5 feet long, 2 feet wide, and 18 inches deep.
Mark, you can't mean.
But I do. The perfect coffin. And by the way, Junior, in tomorrow's episode, consider a gallon drum of acid.
Ed, put that paper down and eat your breakfast.
Yeah, sure. Gosh, looks as though Buzz O'Keefe is going to have a murder to solve soon. Von Soul's buying the acid today.
Ed!
Okay, I'm eating 8 eyes.
Sam, with fancy glasses to the ceiling, you're sitting reading the newspaper.
Come on. I first got to finish with Buzz O'Keefe. Acid Von Soul was buying today. And from a tailor yet. Just like to me he was coming.
Okay, Mrs. Jones. Ready for your permanent now. Oh, You're reading Buzz O'Keefe. Ain't it something? All Juliet's boyfriends are murder movies. And the acid, well, isn't it just too horrible?
She's going to get it.
What will it be?
What's
Acid,
fever?
5 gallons of it.
I bet it's going to be in the fish pond.
Murder. Horrible, ain't it?
Hey, look at this.
Buzz Saver.
Not this.
Buzz O'Keefe.
Buzz O'Keefe.
Buzz.
Well, Mr. Evans, it looks as though Julia is right. Seems as if things that happen in Mark's comic strip are mighty apt to happen to her in real life. Yet, of course, it could be just coincidence.
That reminds me of a friend of mine who was always blaming things on coincidence. For instance, he'd always nick and irritate his face while shaving. Then he changed to mole and started getting swell shaves. He said, oh, that's just a lucky coincidence. But I noticed that he kept on using mole, and he kept on getting smooth, comfortable shaves. And, gentlemen, this is why. Mole brushless shaving cream contains a special protective film. This special film helps guard your skin against tiny, almost invisible nicks and scrapes that make your shaves uncomfortable. As a result, you get a really pleasant, comfortable shave every morning. So why not try it tomorrow? Remember to ask for Mole, the brushless shaving cream that puts face protection first. And now back to Jeffrey Barnes and Act 2 of the comic strip Murder.
Julia Stetson sits in her penthouse apartment telling the district attorney about her husband's plans to kill her. Kill her precisely as he plans to kill his comic strip character, Juliet. Kill her by submerging her in a large fish pond filled with deadly acid.
As you say, Mr. Hanley, Mark isn't well mentally. If it hadn't been for you, I'd have run away long ago. Well, after Van Sewell, the comic strip character, bought the acid, Mark did the same thing. When I asked him about it, he only laughed at me. He showed me the labels and said it was dry cleaning fluid he bought from a tailor. He was going to clean the upholstery of the car himself. But, Mr. Hanley, its contents are in the fish pond right now. Look, this morning I had an attack of hay fever, so I came down to the studio later than usual. Mark seems very late.
Well, this is the day, Julia. The comic strip murder's finished. I've got the actual murder taking place in 3 days of script. I've had them done for some time, but I've hidden them from you.
Hidden them?
Yes. But since I'm throwing them in this noon, I think it's only fair for you to see the fate of poor Julia. So here, take a look.
But, Mark, this man...
That's right, Julia. You see, it wasn't Zool who sent the acid-filled wine bottles to Julia. It was this new character. It was her husband. Yes, looks a little like me, doesn't he? Well, he's been watching her. And hating her. See how horrified Juliet is. Look at the wonderful expression I got on her face in this panel. When her husband takes the hypodermic needle out of his pocket. Good, And look at the action in these panels. See? He grabs her arm here, and she starts to scream, but he gags her with his hand and plunges the needle into her neck. See?
It's horrible. Needle in her neck.
And here, the final touch. Masterpiece of tenderness. Her husband kisses her gently on the forehead before putting on his rubber gloves. See? Here? And then he lowers her gently into the fish pond. And she can't move a finger to stop him. But Julia, you're trembling. I've never seen you so interested. So affected. Oh, shall I take these away? Maybe you'd rather not see them.
I mean, yes, I want to see them.
Good. The last panel's the best. We show Juliet's husband calmly smoking a cigarette as he looks with a fake smile on his lips at what's going on in the fish pond. Of course, we can't show that. But you can imagine. Can't you, darling?
finally left Mr. Hanley. But his last words to me were, "I'll be back late, darling, around midnight sometime. You'll be here, won't you?" That's the story in every detail I can remember.
I see.
Mr. Hanley, Mark's going to be here any minute now, and I know he's going to try to kill me because, well, tonight's the night Juliet, the girl in the comic strip, is going to be killed. I'm frightened, Mr. Hanley. I'm frightened something will go wrong with our plans. Mr. Hanley, you won't let him. I mean, he won't have time to.
No, Mrs. Stetson. He won't have time to murder you. I'll be behind the screen every second. At any rate, if something does go wrong and he reaches you before I have time to interfere, use this revolver and use it quick.
All right. And I'm to stand at the far end of the terrace.
Yes, as far away from the fish pond as you can.
It's 12. You better...
No, don't worry about a thing, Mrs. Stetson. I'll be behind the screen.
Where are you? On the terrace, Mark.
Oh, I knew you'd be waiting. Well, let's get our first ritual over with. Then I've got a real surprise for you. Where's that? Oh, yes, here it is.
Mark, what are you going to do? What's that needle for, Mark?
Well, now, really, Julia, dear, after all, this can't be news to you. We've gone over it before. You should be past being frightened by now. Here, give me your arm.
No, Mark, no.
Well, stop screaming.
No.
It won't hurt. That's why I'm doing it.
No, you're trying to kill me. No, let me go. Let me go.
Julia, you fool. Give me that gun.
Let go of me.
Julia. It's all right, Mr. Stetson. They were blank cartridges. Mrs. Stetson, I arrest you for the attempted murder of your husband.
What did you say?
You can drop it now, Mrs. Stetson. It's curtain time.
You don't know what you're talking about. Well, you saw him try to use that needle on me. It's full of poison or drugs. You saw it.
Yes, poison you put into it this afternoon. Poison you put into your own hypodermic needle. Oh, we know your husband has been giving you injections for hay fever.
What about the acid?
You and John Slater bought that acid, not your husband, Mrs. Stetson. You and Slater had motives for killing Mark, so he wouldn't give you a divorce to marry Slater, so with Mark dead, Slater would get your husband's royalties from the Buzz O'Keefe strip.
And the plot for the entire Juliet secret. That's why she gave me that. She gave me that story. Why, I thought it was such a good story, too. But she was leading to this crime. Julia, you listen.
The most ingenious part of the whole thing was calling me in on the case. If I'd believed the story, she had just got through weaving for me, and if she had shot you, it would have been a clear case of self-defense, with the district attorney as her star witness. But they always slip up somewhere.
What do you mean? How?
You forget that today was your wedding anniversary.
So
I was lucky enough to find that out. Mrs. Stetson, a man who is going to murder his wife, doesn't arrange a surprise party for her at midnight. Mrs. Stetson, come back here. Stay away from that parapet.
Julia, don't climb over. You'll fall. Come back.
No, nothing's doing. If you don't like it, come and get me.
Stanley, stop her. She's trying to walk along the ledge and then escape with the fire escape.
Oh, good Lord, it's 50 stories down. She's mad.
Julia, look out. Julia, you're going to... No!
Good heavens.
Julia. Oh, good God.
Mark, go to a hotel for the night. I'll get in touch with you in the morning.
The bell. I'll... Well, what is this?
You've forgotten? Come on, everybody. All together. Happy wedding anniversary!
Oh. Yes. Happy wedding anniversary.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of tonight's exciting Mole Mystery Theater presentation of The Comic Strip Murder.
Mister, what's so funny? Oh, boy, what a comic strip. It's called The Little Shaver. It's all about this guy who nicks and scrapes his face while shaving every day. Oh, is that funny?
Well, it sounds very funny. What's happening in the strip today?
Well, here's where he dreads to begin his shave. And here's where he nicks himself.
Well, say, why doesn't someone tell him about Mole?
That'd spoil the comic strip. Well, then there wouldn't be any problems. No problems, no comic strip.
Well, friends, it's true. Mole does put an end to shaving problems. Mole helps guard your face from irritating little nicks and scrapes because it puts face protection first. Because, you see,
Mole's special film has more real body and substance than light, fluffy cream. It gives your razor something to ride on.
And then, also,
Mole's special film contains a blend of beard-softening ingredients and non-irritating oils that are actually of medical purity. Mole is made of official United States pharmacopoeia ingredients, the same as used to fill doctors' prescriptions.
yes, in every way, face protection comes first when you use Mole. So your first Mole shave is really pleasant. And day after day, as that special film helps guard your skin, your shaves get better, better, and better. When you shave with M-O-L-L-E. Mole, the brushless shaving cream that puts face protection first. And now once again, Jeffrey Barnes to tell you about the Mole Mystery Theater play for next week.
For next week, ladies and gentlemen, I have chosen a classic short story of suspense and murder by the eminent W.W. Jacobs. It is entitled The Interruption. So, mystery fans, we invite you to be with us next week for an ingenious tale when you will learn the secret behind The Interruption.
The original music for the Mole Mystery Theater is composed and conducted by Jack Miller. The comic strip Murder was written by Corporal Frederick Mazo. Until next Tuesday, this is Dan Seymour saying good night and good shaving with Mole. The brushless shaving cream that puts face protection first.
Every day, thousands of men and women supplement their diet with IY, ironized yeast tablets. Is your diet deficient in iron? Do you need more vitamin B1? IY tablets give you extra iron to help build rich red blood, extra vitamin B1 to help keep nerves steady, help you maintain pep and strength. To help keep vigor and vitality, take ironized yeast. They're small, easy-to-swallow tablets. Insist on IY, ironized yeast tablets. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Go first by long distance.
Excuse me, can you tell me where the Conleys live?
Yes, in the White House at the end of the block, on the right. But I'm not sure they're home.
Oh, we called them long distance. They're expecting us. Thank you.
A long-distance call to friends you plan to visit this summer makes good sense. It will save you driving miles and miles, then finding no one at home. Call ahead to make sure of reservations, too. Wherever you go, go first by long distance. Rates are low. Why not call now?
HOJO Radio, where the classics come alive.
Super fighter in all the world. And during the following program, Mr. Hall Hibbard, Vice President and Chief Engineer of Lockheed Aircraft Corporation, will bring you the inside story about this great new plane. Lockheed presents The Man Called X, starring Herbert Marshall. With the music of Felix Mills. Produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. The makers of Lockheed Airplanes present Herbert Marshall as the Man Called X, international troubleshooter who flies the ocean at the drop of a hat, who charms the ladies but is death on crooks Herbert Marshall as the man called X.
Listen to this, Chief. London, February the 13th, Associated Press. The Moscow radio quoted Stockholm reports tonight that the mayor of Berlin, Ludwig Stieg, had been shot to death for cowardice.
Yeah, Ken. One report says that he tried to leave Berlin, but was recognized, arrested, and executed.
Yeah. The tougher the going, the tougher Himmler, and company will have to get, even with their own bigwigs.
That's okay with me, Ken. They're just doing some of the dirty work we'd have to do.
Right, Nancy. But unfortunately, some of them are going to slip through. Some of the worst.
For instance, Chief?
Well, for instance, we've got a tip that Schweitzer's going to try to get out.
Schweitzer?
Yep. Reichsbank, economic minister.
Why, he probably has more vital information in his head than any other man in Germany. Can't let him get away, Chief.
Yep. If he gets out, it's just too bad.
Yeah, it's too bad somebody can't go into Berlin and help him escape.
Great idea, Ken.
Kind of ridiculous, too.
Oh, I was just speculating.
It's out of our jurisdiction, too. Anybody who did it would have to be in a zone.
Yeah. Yes, well, Nancy, let's go. See you later, Chief.
Okay, Ken. I'll have something else for you to do in a few days.
Mm-hmm.
Bye, Nancy.
Bye, Chief. Oh, and don't strain yourself looking for another assignment for Ken. Berlin, huh?
Well, you heard the Chief. It's out of our jurisdiction.
Well, don't let it get you down. What would you like to do today, darling?
Oh, I don't know. How about dropping in on Harold Annis?
All right. Haven't seen Hal for ages. Oh, what's he doing now?
Nothing much. Colonel with the ATC.
Yes. Oh, that's what... Wait a minute. What did you say?
Yes, darling. Colonel Harold Annis of the Air Transport Command. Tell me, Hal, how close do your planes go to Germany? Russia. That's close enough, Ken. Uh-huh. Could you arrange a passage for a passenger?
Well, yeah, I suppose I could.
Hal, do you mind if Ken kisses me right in front of you?
This I've got to see.
Just something to remember you by, Ken. Well... Oh, darling. Darling, when you kiss me like that, I go on a plane trip myself to the stars.
You like flying for the ATC, Captain?
Sure, Mr. Thurston. Why, during the last couple of weeks, I've been in Cairo, Sydney, Burma, London, Paris, Saipan, and Long Beach, California.
And next stop, Moscow.
Yep. I'll just have time to say hello to Uncle Joe and go on to Cousin Chung in Chungking.
Transport from New York arriving at ramp 2. Planes leaving ramp 7 for Leningrad, Stockholm, London. Ramp number 11 for Budapest.
Товарищ!
Hi, Pagon.
Я приветствую вас от имени любимицы всех советских республик Москвы, красавицы, дорогой товарищ Thurston.
Meaning?
Hello. And welcome to Moscow, товарищ.
Well said, Mr. Zellsmith. Did you get my message?
Mr. X, I saw, I came, I conquest.
Bravo.
I have been busy mapping out some new strategies for the Red Army. But I was able to steal a precious moment to keep this appointment with you.
Oh, so you even steal moments, eh, Pagon?
Ah, but Mr. X, a moment with you may lead to a fortune.
Look, Pagon, you once told me you were a charter member of some band of roving rogues. What were they called?
Oh, you mean the Continental Guild of Mercenaries?
That's it. You still a member?
Well, I haven't paid my dues lately, but I still have my connection.
Good. We can use your fellow guildsmen.
How?
We have a job to do which, incidentally, should cover your delinquent dues and then some.
That interests me profoundly, Mr. Thurston. But what do I do?
Have you ever made a parachute jump?
Who? Me? Geronimo!
Great, Pagon. That would make anybody jump.
Then let's go.
All right.
But where are we going?
Just to Berlin.
Oh, fine. I always...
There you are, Mr. Thurston. If you drop now, you'll land on the forest.
Thank you, Major Malinoff. It is smart of you to pick a place where we wouldn't have to dodge enemy flak.
In this new plane, we could dodge anything. You better hurry and jump, or Marshal Zhukov will be in Berlin before you are.
Okay. You ready, Pagon?
Don't you think, well, maybe perhaps we can wait a little while?
Just close your eyes and jump.
You first, my dear Thurston.
After you, Pagon.
But I insist.
Okay, but Major, you'll take care of my friend, won't you?
To your entire satisfaction, Mr. Thurston. Good luck, Tovarishch.
Good luck to you. So long.
He did it. He did it.
It's very simple. Now watch. I will show you a little trick. With a flick of my finger, my beautiful plane rolls over on its side, so... Good luck, Tovarishch.
From here on, we'd better go separately, Pagon.
My miserable life is on your head, Mr. X.
Don't worry about my head. Just use yours. Mix in with the refugees on the road. Now, here's our plan. I'm going to make a little call on Schweitzer.
Not old money bags?
Yeah. The head man of the Reichsbank.
Oh, are we going to rob the bank?
We've got something more important to do. But first, we've got to decide on a meeting place.
Now, let's see. Putsy.
Putsy?
Haven't I told you about Putsy? A 32nd cousin.
Oh?
A Zelschmidt's black sheep on the Bulgarian side.
Where does he live?
Due to the misfortunes of his ill-starred career, he's living at 57 Sauerbratenstrasse. But what are you going to do, Mr. X?
Pagon, you've inspired me.
I have? How much is it worth to me?
You know, I've studied your duplicities for a long time, and at last I found a good use for them. I'm going to double-cross a crook to bait a trap for the crook.
Herr Schweitzer.
Herr Schweitzer.
How did you get in? I don't know you. Who are you?
Herr Schweitzer, you're planning to try to get out of Germany.
Who are you?
Oh, call me X.
X? What is this? Some joke?
These are hardly times for joking, are they? As I was saying, you want to get out of Germany.
But
it seems impossible, doesn't it?
Get out of here.
Look here, Herr Schweitzer. You're a shrewd man. A wise man who would like to save his own skin.
Don't move, whoever you are.
I don't think you want to shoot me, Herr Schweitzer, because, you see, I can get you out of Germany.
You? Just what makes you think you... The shelter! Quick!
The Americans are dropping their calling cards again.
Oh, the swine! Come on! Hurry! Now, we'll be safe here.
Not a very happy life, is it, Herr Schweitzer?
It will be over soon.
Oh, Father, here you are. I'm glad. I wondered where you... Oh, a visitor?
Yes, an uninvited visitor. He calls himself X.
I see.
I'm offering your father a chance to get out of Germany.
Oh? And what do you say to that, Father?
Oh, don't take him too seriously, Elena, my dear. He's very amusing. Go on, X.
Let's be frank. Rather punctuates the defeat to come, doesn't it?
Well, go on with what you're saying.
Yes, but defeat may not be the end of everything. Failure can sometimes be turned into profit. To speak your language, Herr Schweitzer.
What do you expect to get for all this?
A small measure of what you expect. A future made out of catastrophe.
And all this cause is based on the assumption that Germany has lost the war.
That's your assumption, isn't it? I know you played along with the Nazis because you thought it was good business. That doesn't sound like good business, does it, Herr Schweitzer?
Huh?
To stay here means utter ruin for you. It means the end of business. So, of course, you'll be interested in my proposal.
Supposing I were interested, how could I trust someone I don't know, nor have ever heard of?
You haven't been able to trust those you do know, so I wouldn't expect you to trust me, except that I shall profit as well as you if you get out.
Get out to where?
A plane will be waiting on the other side of the border.
What border?
We'll come to that later.
What border?
It doesn't matter. France, Italy, Yugoslavia.
What about Bremner, this Gestapo? You must think they are fools.
Not for a minute. But there are some things that even Bremner can't stop. What do you say, Herr Schweitzer?
I shall report you to the Gestapo.
Won't Bremner be a little curious about the fact that you've been approached with this kind of proposition? Bremner's a suspicious man, you know. In case you shouldn't report me to him, you'll meet me at 6 o'clock this evening?
You are very bold, aren't you?
Maybe just foolish. I've offered your father a deal. I don't know whether he'll buy. May I expect to see you this evening, Herr Schweitzer?
Perhaps.
57 Sauerbratenstrasse.
But, Mr. X, what makes you so sure Herr Schweitzer is coming?
If he weren't coming, I'd have been arrested long ago. Pagan, can we trust this cousin Putsy of yours?
Mr. Thurston, of course not. He doesn't even trust himself. That's why he will be so useful.
A true Zelsmith.
Thank you, Mr. Thurston. But it's already 5 minutes past 6 and no Herr Schweitzer.
It's worth waiting more than 5 minutes for Schweitzer, Pagan.
Cousin Pagan. Shh. I'm busy, Putsy. Later.
But I have to talk to you. Small Taylor's just turned up.
Well, all right. Excuse me, Mr. X. Don't mind Putsy. He's not very bright.
I know. He's only a 32nd cousin. Yeah.
Thank you.
But don't stay too long. We'll be shoving off as soon as Schweitzer gets here.
If he gets here, Mr. X.
You lose, Pagan. Herr Schweitzer keeps his appointments.
Cousin Pagan, it is imperative.
Be right back, Mr. X.
Coming. Oh.
Yeah, Mr. X. It's a Gestapo.
You are under arrest as a spy.
In a moment, we'll continue with Act Two of The Man Called X, starring Herbert Marshall. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to present a special visitor from Lockheed. He is Mr. Hall Hibbard, Vice President and Chief Engineer. Mr. Hibbard will talk about Lockheed's new fighting plane, the sensational jet-propelled Shooting Star. Mr. Hibbard.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I am glad to be able to tell you about the Shooting Star because I believe it to be more than merely a weapon of war. It is a significant airplane, significant in war and significant in peace. First of all, it may now be revealed that the development of jet-propelled aircraft in this country has always surpassed that in enemy countries. In fact, Lockheed has been working in this field for many years. Some months ago, then, when the Germans introduced jet planes in the European theater, both the United States Army Air Forces and we here at Lockheed felt that we had something better. We had the jet-driven Lockheed Shooting Star, which had been secretly test flying for more than a year. The Shooting Star is an extremely fast, maneuverable, and high-flying airplane. It is the fastest plane in the world. We are naturally gratified to have designed such an airplane. But more important, the Shooting Star reaffirms the fact that American skills and American ingenuity can always turn out superior weapons. And now, a word about the future. In my opinion, the Lockheed Shooting Star introduces an entirely new chapter in the history of flight. It is just the beginning. We at Lockheed can foresee and are working toward the time, a matter of a few years, when the largest transports equipped with jet engines will fly across continents and oceans at tremendous speeds.
Today, our job is to help maintain air supremacy for the United Nations. Tomorrow, with the knowledge thus gained, we hope to aid in maintaining a full and lasting peace. Thank you and good night.
You've just heard a talk by Mr. Hall Hibbard, Vice President and Chief Engineer, Lockheed Aircraft Corporation. Thank you, Mr. Hibbard. Now to return to Lockheed's man called X, who has managed to get into Berlin, where he has been trying to kidnap one of the highest officials in all Nazism by helping him escape from Germany. But his plans have apparently blown up in his face, for he is now a prisoner of the Gestapo. At the moment, we find Mr. X in his cell, somewhat the worse for the customary treatment by the Gestapo.
Well, what are you going to use this time? Lashes or lighted cigarettes? Oh. Why don't you put on the light? You usually like to see your handiwork. Well, say something.
You should never have come to see my father.
Elena.
You remember my name.
It isn't all I remember, Miss Schweitzer.
But I don't even know yours.
How did you get in here?
The way people usually get into places.
Oh. The Nazis have their little weakness, too. Why did you come?
I couldn't help it. I had to see you again. But I feel foolish having to call you just X.
My name's Ken.
Ken? Oh. Why were you trying to help my father?
For the reason I told him. For profit.
But you look like a man of ideals, Ken.
And you look like one of those ideals, Elena.
Well,
It's very sweet of you to come to see me. That's taking chances, you know.
I told you I had to. Did they hurt you?
What do you think?
Oh, Ken.
My mother used to tell me that a kiss would take away a hurt. She was right.
That isn't why I kissed you.
Elena, you tell me something?
Yes?
Did your father call the Gestapo?
No. No, I did.
That's what I thought.
I still don't know who you are. You're still X, but you're a traitor to the Fuhrer. You would have made my father a traitor. I would kill him first.
And me.
Oh, the Gestapo will make you wish I had killed you.
So this is the woman of the future. The Fräulein modeled after her Fuhrer. The essence of Nazi superiority.
Heil Hitler.
Heil Hitler. Fräulein Schweitzer.
I have been expecting you, Herr Bremner. Our friend here is quite susceptible to lovemaking, but he says nothing.
Perhaps lovemaking isn't the right method.
Then I bow out in your favor, Herr Bremner.
Leaving so soon, Miss Schweitzer. Auf Wiedersehen, Elena.
Not auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.
Lovely specimen of your womanhood, Herr Bremner.
We shall not talk of women, Mr. X.
Is there a better subject?
There is a more important one. Who are you?
You seem to know.
Who are you?
Have a smoke?
Who brought you those?
Your Gestapo, of course.
What do you mean?
Oh, now, wait a minute, Herr Bremner. You know as well as I do. You can buy anything. In fact, your Gestapo has a very well-organized black market.
Shut up. That's enough, Hans. Go on, Mr. X.
I've always thought of the Gestapo as an invincible, incorruptible machine. It's very interesting when you see it from the inside.
Are so?
Everyone a prisoner of everyone else. All linked together in a chain. But the chain is held together only by fear. Fear of each other.
Stop. You will not tell us who you are. But we do not need to know. We know enough. You are a spy. And spies are shot.
When do you plan to give my little party?
In the morning, Mr. X. Also, what meat?
Herr Bremner, back so soon. Have you changed your shooting schedule?
Mr. X, you are an intelligent man. You could be very useful if you would talk.
Apparently I've talked too much.
I know, of course, about your attempt at negotiations with Herr Schweitzer.
Of course, his adoring daughter told you.
You were very sure you could get him out of Germany, weren't you?
Yes.
I see, but unfortunately, you will be shot in the morning.
Yes, unfortunately.
And you still won't talk? Mr. X.
Yeah?
Mr. X, can you get me out of Germany?
Frida, here comes the slaughter wagon once again.
It's as sure as the sun comes up.
Another one of Herr Bremner's victims, eh?
I wonder who it is this time. Driver, is it another field marshal you're burying?
Sorry to disappoint you, old woman. All I've got today is an American spy.
American. Come along, Frida.
A very bad character. Mr. X. Mr. X, are you dead or alive?
I'm pinching myself, Pagan. Bremner promised to put blanks in the guns, but I still have to sweat it out before that wall.
But how could you know he would really use blanks?
Only because he was saving his own skin with them, or so he thought. Have Putzi and his mercenaries paved a road out for us and our celebrated companions?
A regular fortune it cost, Mr. X. The road is paved with gold and silver.
Yes, Pagan. But there's a rainbow at the end of it.
It's very hot in this ridiculous clothing.
But Herr Bremner, who would suspect that two fat old ladies in black would be those well-known gentlemen, Bremner and Schweitzer?
I must admit, Mr. X, the costumes have served their purpose.
The idea came from Pagan, the fount of all chicanery.
Thank you, Mr. X.
Here we are. Here is the border.
Doesn't seem much different, does it? Except that the air smells free.
Nobody but me, gross Uncle Heinrich, knows this pass.
Good for you, Uncle. Mr. X has your bonus for you like I promised.
That's right, Uncle. Here you are.
Danke, schön.
Are you sure nobody but you knows this way out, old man?
Nobody. I've lived here for 70... No, what are you...
Uncle Heinrich!
Well, Bremner, why did you shoot the old man?
You think I'm a fool, Mr. X? Nobody will know how I left Germany. Or that I have left Germany.
Oh?
Nobody.
No blanks in the gun now, huh? You're sure you're safe now, so suddenly you're a brave man.
You've been a very convenient guide, Mr. X, but only one of us will cross the border alive.
You wouldn't dare kill me, Bremner.
You, Schweitzer, who think only of money and... Who's there?
Pagan! Ah, Putzi, you're a regular Marine. What is it? The American flyer. He's coming.
Good. Americana.
As I promised you, gentlemen, there's a plane waiting. A plane which will take you for a nice long ride to America.
You'll never get me to...
Nice work, Mr. X. Here, I have his gun.
Come on, Bremner, get up.
Schwein.
Oh, I'm getting awfully tired of that word. But perhaps pigs know no other language. What are you trembling for, Bremner? And you, Schweitzer? You afraid? Did you really think you'd get away? How could you get away from yourselves? Maybe you've forgotten that. He that fleeth from the fear shall fall into the pit. And he that getteth up out of the pit shall be taken in the snare. Maybe you've forgotten that for the creators of destruction and disaster There is no way out.
Ladies and gentlemen, the jet-propelled Lockheed Shooting Star is the fastest plane ever built. Trim as a bullet, highly maneuverable, armed to the teeth, this sensational new plane is capable of fighting at high altitudes, striking, disappearing, bringing fear and terror to the enemy. The jet-propelled Shooting Star. With it, Lockheed has again established new standards in the field of aircraft design and manufacture. Again, Lockheed originality, Lockheed science and skill have helped maintain air supremacy for the United Nations. This time with a plane so superior that it may revolutionize all flying, be it for war or for peace. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Lockheed leads in jet propulsion. And in the great age of flight to come, you may well look to Lockheed for continuation in this leadership. Lockheed, makers of the new jet-propelled Shooting Star. Years ahead in the science of flight. And now a word from Lockheed's star, Mr. Herbert Marshall.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our last program in the present series. So I'd like to say a very sincere thanks to the men of Lockheed Aircraft Corporation who have given every possible assistance in making this show as good a show as we could make it. And, of course, my thanks to my favorite company of artists and technicians. Felix Mills, our superlative music master. Milton Merlin, author of tonight's exploit and most of the stories in this series. Francis Farrago, writer. Thor LaCroix, our excellent engineer. Floyd and Monty, our sound effects wizards. John McIntyre, our grand announcer. And the cast. Gigi Pearson, who plays the charming Nancy Bessington. Leon Velasco, who is my rascally shadow, P. Gonzell Smith. And such fine actors as Bea Benaderet, Lucille Meredith, and Jeanette Nolan. Frank Graham, Theodore Von Eltz, Will Wright, Joe Granby, Charlie Lung, Bob Bruce, Vic Rodman, Ed MacDonald, and my many other friends in the cast. Well, naturally, I've saved my final salute for Jack Johnstone, our producer and director whose magic wand has safely and brilliantly guided the man called X through his many adventures. And to you, my most highly esteemed audience, my profoundest thanks of all. So until we meet again on the air, good night.
Herbert Marshall's appearance is through courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. All characters and incidents used on this program are fictitious. Any resemblance to actual persons or incidents is purely coincidental. John McIntyre speaking. This is the Blue Network of the American Broadcasting Company.
Thanks for listening to HOJO Radio. We'll be back again very soon.